Yes, you do. What else are you going to do on Friday? You're not going to get down on Friday? What's the point of Friday if you can't get down on Friday?
If there's any day that you're going to get down, Friday would be the day that you would do that.
Friday is the day that we getteth down. That is correct. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Great to have you. Welcome in. What a day we have lined up for you. Because I got to tell you, Adam Schefter has added more context to the incredible story that we heard from him yesterday. Number one.
Ooh, intriguing.
Yep.
Juicy.
Number two, a very highly touted, well-known national and local radio show host on our brother station WEEI out of Boston, who had Schefter on yesterday. Also used the word coitus on the radio. So I'm in the clear. I'm in the clear now. All right. One of the big dogs in Odyssey used it. I'm in the clear. All right. I'm off the hook.
There are levels, Rob. Okay. There are levels. And
you're saying I'm not on WEEI's level?
I don't know. I know there are levels and I'm not sure. I mean, it's a bigger market and probably.
I'm sticking with it. All right. So we have more of Shefty's coitus story to talk about coming up later in the show. I have.
Mommy, what's Mr. Rob saying?
I mean, I don't know how to politely say that's a you problem, but that's a you problem. All right. This allow the Rob Brown Show to be the vehicle with which you introduce your children to the real world.
If you have kids, if he's going to continue to do that, just turn to another station. It's okay.
What is wrong with you?
It's okay. I don't mind if you turn away, because if he's gonna do that thing. I mean,
again, that is the single most adult, right, technically correct way to say that.
They have the power to turn away, so just turn away. It's okay.
Adam Schefter made the boom boom with the lady. Like, I feel like that's worse.
It's not.
I feel like that's worse.
It's not. It actually sounds more fun.
I didn't say it sounded more fun. I didn't say that's wrong.
It definitely sounds more fun.
I didn't say that's wrong.
The other thing just sounds like a science experiment. That sounds like fun.
Either way.
If you had a choice between the two, which one are you doing?
I mean,
I know they're both the same thing, but
I was going to say
one's a little more fun than the other. One could be a lot more fun than the other.
No, I mean, it's the same thing, right? It's like the difference between playing basketball and shooting hoops. Like, one's casual and jingoistic, and the other is like, this is what is actually happening.
I'd rather shoot hoops than play basketball.
See, not everybody feels that way.
I'm sure most people feel that way. But
one of those things in a setting of academia is the correct way to phrase it.
So what you're saying is people with higher IQ, they talk about certain acts in a more with a better vocabulary?
No, I'm saying if you are in a professional adult setting and it is demanded of you to have that discussion in a professional adult setting, coitus is the word that is used.
Okay, so that professional adult setting, that's not this show.
Schefter was out there while breaking some news stories.
I'm more comfortable with that than the other word.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Because you don't hear it on the air anywhere. I mean, it's just like, let me use this sly,
I just told you.
Sly word.
One of the biggest
makes me sound a certain way.
One of the biggest local hosts in America on WEEI, which is the station we should all strive to be more like.
Is this an old man?
No, it's a guy my age.
Oh, okay. I don't know how that's different than the question I asked.
Okay, that's me. That's rude and a very rude way to start the day.
I am just so glad you're just.
That's 3 more coituses I'm adding to the show.
You're just a couple months from joining me in the AARP. I can't wait. We're going to be AARP buddies.
We're going to tell you what Schefter added to that story coming up later in the show. Peyton Manning showed up at a bar and sang karaoke last night, and yeah, absolutely, somebody put it up, and it is absolutely as bad as you think it's going to be.
Okay, yeah, because in my mind, it's not good.
Oh, it's going to be awful, and I can't wait. We're going to get to that coming up later in the show. Jared Goff yesterday, I don't know when he did it, But at some point over the last couple of days, Jared Goff sat down with PFT and Big Cat from Barstool and did a podcast with them. And they asked him if he will ever apologize to Saints fans for that NFC Championship game. And he, done entirely, thoroughly, top to bottom, left to right, up and down, back and forth and diagonal, ticked me off. Like, I get why he did it. Still hurt my feelings, all right? And that's from a guy who has been openly rooting for Jared Goff so far this season. I'm probably still going to, because I get what he was doing and I understand it. And if I was in his shoes, I'd do the exact same thing. But that wound is not healed, and he did not pour salt into it. He dunked me into the Dead Sea with that open wound.
Okay, Ed, what segment is that going to be? Because I'm gonna take some time off around then and probably.
I haven't decided, but I'll let you know.
Waltz about the hall.
That's fine. Whatever you got to do. Whatever you got to do. I'm gonna play you the audio, and then we'll riff. We got that coming up later on the show. We got Rashad Beard coming up at 9:00 this morning. That is ordinarily the spot that we would have.
I hate that hat, by the way.
The Pittsburgh Pirates hat.
Oh, it's a pirate. Okay, it's the baseball hat. All right, it's like, okay. At first, I thought that the Steelers changed their hat.
Nope, the Steelers, the Pirates,
it's a baseball
and the
hat.
Penguins
It's okay.
All wear the same colors of black and athletic yellow.
I know, but the P, I just don't like it. It's not good.
It's a Pirates, a Buccos hat.
Yeah, it's not colorful enough. Nothing says plain and boring like Russell Wilson.
That's what it is. You don't care about the hat. You don't like who's wearing
I don't
it.
like the hat either. If you wore that hat, I'd be like, dude, don't you got something else going? I mean, imagine.
Well, yeah, because it's not my team, and it's a good hat. There's nothing remarkable. I will wear another team's hat if it's a good hat. Like if it's a pop hat, like a Padres guy, I wear some Padres gear because it's got that neon pink and highlighter green, and I think that's fantastic. I don't wear another team's gear unless they are not a direct rival of mine. They got to be on the other side, right? Like if I'm a baseball guy, I'm not wearing another NL team's gear, but I'll rock an AL team's gear. You know what? Screw all this. The game, no, dome the stadium. All right. I got on Twitter last night and it was just like, I love the snow. I love the snow. I love the snow. This is fun. This is fun. AFC North football. This is fun. No. The presentation of the game was booty cheeks. The game itself started to suck progressively more as it went on. Like, you can't tell me that was the best version of that football game last night. I did stay up and watch the whole thing last night.
No kind of Sandys, you're wrong.
I stayed up and watched that whole game. And throughout the entire duration of the game, I get on X and it's just guy after guy. And I acknowledge, I even put up, I don't know if you saw it, great one. I even put up a meme about it last night that I understand that I am the only person who feels this way.
You poor, gentle Florida child, where the sun always shines. And so the sun should shine everywhere else.
This isn't a Florida thing.
That weather exists. It is.
Monzo!
It's a Florida.
You moved away from Ohio. Why?
Because I hate snow.
There you go.
But here's the thing. We're not talking about if I could play football again, that'd be awesome because I'd be walking really good. But if I could play football again, I would prefer to play in a game like that.
Shut up.
Absolutely. Either that or a game full of mud. One or the other.
Okay. Even if that's true.
What do you mean even if
that's true?
It,
okay, it's true. Fine.
Okay.
You're the big strong macho man. Sure. That's all true. You want to play in the snow and the mud. Well, can you play your best football in the mud and the snow?
Yes.
No, you cannot.
Yes.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can. If you're a big fat guy, you absolutely can.
No, you can't.
Because you get more traction while other people are slipping around. You're like,
yes, Lonzo,
notoriously
snow and ice known for providing more traction. That's how it works.
It isn't.
Snow and ice, more traction. You all know how people prefer to drive on the ice because there's more traction.
Poor gentle Florida boy.
No, you're just wrong.
It's obviously, well, I know you haven't really been in the trenches in the snow, so you do get more traction if you're a big fat guy.
Physically don't.
If you're a big fat guy, you do.
You may believe you have more traction than someone that is lighter than you.
You do.
But you do not have the most traction that you can have.
Well, media guy, you've never done it before. So how can you talk about it?
To know it's slippery, Lonzo?
How can you talk about it? You've never done it before.
I don't need to do it to know how it works.
You do. Well, you kind of do.
No, you don't.
You do.
Have you ever walked on a hockey rink?
You're gonna break.
Have you ever walked on a hockey rink?
You're gonna break.
Have you ever walked on a hockey rink?
You were there when I did.
Okay, that's fair. You're right. I was. But what did you have to do when you walked on the hockey rink? They literally had to give you special shoes to be able to do it.
No, we had to use that special thing in order to do the thing that we used our own shoes. Your memory is failing you. Snow is fine for football. Your crusade falls on deaf ears for the majority of the world.
I know. I just said that. I'm not arguing that there's a minority of you and you're wrong. I understand I'm in the vast minority.
You're on an island as much as you are. Is it like one island or is it like a series of islands?
First off, that's called an archipelago.
Okay. All right.
So if you're going to be sarcastic, at least get the right language going here. Listen, if you're on the stream right now, you
did live in a peninsula. So I mean,
no, I lived in a panhandle, not a peninsula. Peninsula is down where all the Yankees are down in Miami. I lived in the panhandle. I am about to be.
So that's a separate state where you were? Because Florida
should be.
Florida as a state is a peninsula.
Look here on the stream right now. I made this meme last night because I know how much the minority I'm in.
Do you have to know what movie it's from to use a meme? Because I've never used it.
No, you get the point, right?
What? I mean,
I'm not giving you credit for anything today. That's really funny, but I'm not laughing at it.
Because I know that movie. I was just wondering if you knew the movie.
I do. It's Tangled. It's still actually one of my favorite Disney movies, as a matter of fact. Tangled was a phenomenal movie. The meme I'm going with here is a shot of Flynn Rider, who is in a bar in a scene in the movie Tangled where he says something in the bar and everybody else in the bar pulls a sword and draws a sword, and it's got a still image of him leaned up against the wall, very smug and confident in the opinion he just expressed, while he's got like 24 swords all pointed at his face.
That is you every day.
The concept of the meme, it is usually utilized alongside a tweet that says, what opinion do you have that got you like this? And then it's your opportunity to like post that meme with a hot take. My hot take is snow ruins football games. Rain ruins football games. Wind ruins football games because you can't play the best football in it. It is just not possible to play the best football. And I don't want to know who doesn't fall down the best. I don't want to know who wears the big thick jackets on the sideline and stays warmest the best. I want to know who the best football team is. And you did not get the best version of those two football teams last night. You got two teams that were just doing their best to stay warm and not drop the football, which, by the way, you know how many more touchdowns Cleveland has if it's not slippery, gross, and wet outside? David Njoku, who doesn't drop passes, dropped at least one touchdown and at least 2 first downs because it's gross. That's just it. Listen, I'll even make it worse for me. I'd like to point out on the screen, Lonzo, if you will look over to the right side, right over here, you will notice literally 0 likes on this tweet. I understand that I am alone in this take, and I don't give a shefty that I am alone in this take. Not a single shefty to be given. Not one. Because if you think you genuinely, honestly got the best version of the Steelers versus the best version of the Browns, you are just objectively wrong about it. You did not. Not only did you not, but on top of that, I got a TV screen that looks like I'm trying to watch Skinamax in the late 90s trying to see if the field goal's good or not. Come on, man. Al Michaels is literally like, I guess he made it because we can't see the ball. Great football. Can't see anything. It's great. I got little brown blobs taking on little white blobs out there. Great football. I bought a 4K 85-inch TV to be able to not see the people on it. Great football.
Rob Brown, you gentle Florida child.
This is not a Florida thing.
It is. You just don't get it. You're not. No,
I do get it.
You're not from that area.
Dumb.
Don't we hear that all the time? Down here, well, you just don't get it because you're not from here. There is some things you just don't get it because you're not from there, and this is one of those things. And
that's the thing people say about Skyline Chili, Lonzo. You're not from here. You just don't get it. No, I am not from there.
Skyline Chili's nasty.
Yes.
Yeah, but that has nothing. Yes. It's not. Yes. It's not proving your point.
It absolutely is. You just hate that you now get it.
No,
you just ain't from here. It doesn't matter.
As long as you feel good about thinking you won.
Do I need to be from Alaska to know that it's cold when it snows? No, that's literally what the thing is. Do you need to have ever been on an ice rink to know ice is slippery? No. By definition, that's what it is.
Gentle Florida child, enjoying your summers on the golf course and on the beach. Don't understand what it's like to play in the elements. It's okay.
No.
It's all right.
No, I do. I don't know if you know this. It gets cold in Florida.
Does it?
It gets cold in the Florida Panhandle.
How cold's it get?
Not that cold. Not that cold. You know why? I want it all. I just want to say it one more time. I just need to say this one more time, and I'm grabbing the mic to pull it real close so that I can say it with just say it with my chest.
If you say it real loud, it distorts, and they don't have a clue what you're saying. So.
Lonzo left Ohio because the snow sucks.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So don't let them pull this crap up.
By the way,
actually, snow is good.
By the way, wasn't talking about everyday life. It's talking about football.
This is it's dumb. The football is degraded in the snow. It's just worse. It's just objectively worse football. It's just the product is bogged down.
Well, then you should boycott all weather games and never watch them.
It wouldn't matter if I did, because all you lunatics out there are like, snow's fun. How is the game better? How is that game better? Everybody said it. I love football in the snow. How is it better? In what way was that a better game than you would have gotten if it was 72 and sunny? In what way was that game improved?
Could you quit?
No.
I'll talk in bed.
In what way was that game improved? How was that game better than a normal game?
Oh, I bet it was a blast to play.
You didn't play in it, so what's it matter to you?
Yeah, but because I have memories of playing in that stuff. And Myles Garrett.
In what way was it better?
Myles Garrett was having a ball out there. It looked like so much fun. It really did.
Y'all, it's just worse football. Back after this, we can fight more, because I'm not getting off this hill. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Stupid snow.
You'd fall down that hill because you're a gentle Florida boy and you don't know how to walk in snow.
JB, if it was part of the game, you guys would go turn the sprinklers on during games and go, hey, water's part of the game. But you don't do that, do you? Everybody goes 72 and sunny. What a beautiful night for football. Nobody has ever gone out to a rainstorm and been like, what a beautiful night for football.
Could you bring it down
to
room volume so I don't have to put my headphones back on during the break?
You guys are hilariously wrong.
I apologize if you see me over here, but I'm trying to catch up on work because I'm on vacation next week, and and everyone keeps wanting to talk to me after the show's over.
My blood pressure's up now.
Good. Makes you feel
Pulse is elevated.
Way to go, you. Oh, come on. I like the whole thing. What are you doing?
Closes out the 2024 football season on the road Saturday at Mercer, as you can get all the action on the Can Upstate Lines about Dan Scott, inviting you to join Conrad Moore, David Cobb, and me as the Paladins go on the road to try and wreak havoc with Mercer's season hopes in the FCS playoffs.
Rob Brown Show, what do you want to talk about? Nothing much. Hang on, Joe. Hang on.
Chris Miller, host of the pre- and post-game show for the South Carolina Gamecocks, going to join us at 7:30 today. Had to shift it up because his boy got school. Got to drop the young man off to get his education. So Chris Miller's going to move up an hour to 7:30. We're going to have Rashad Beard at 9 o'clock, and we are working on confirming the Movin the Chain gang. They will be either joining us at They will join us either at 8:40 or 9:20. They are working to solidify which one of those times is better for them, so I will let you know as soon as they get that locked in. So we got Chris Miller coming up in a little over an hour from right now, 7:30. We'll talk Gamecocks Wofford as well as review last week's game, the big win over Mizzou with Chris Miller. 9 o'clock, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. Had to push him back. He's got another meeting to get his next round of super secret spy gadgets and gizmos. So
must be stuff going on in the world.
I'm telling you.
2 days in a row.
So we'll get Rashad at 9 o'clock, and then the Movin the Chains boys either at 8:40 or 9:20. As soon as I hear from them, I will let you know when we get that locked in. All of that coming up today on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. We're going to talk, obviously, throughout the course of the day about the weekend upcoming, including spending some time with Ohio State University as they take on Indiana this weekend. And I'm a big Kurt Signetti guy. I think Indiana's in a bit of trouble this weekend. We're going to talk about that coming up a little bit later in the show. All of that and more, but the phone lines are open for you. The Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. That number, 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663 is the number. And our guy Joe has been kind enough to jump on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone to talk a little weather football. Joe, my blood pressure is already high. My pulse is already thumping. Please make it worse.
Rob, I will make it worse the best way I can.
Have at it, buddy. It's all yours. I'm just going to sit over here and take a deep breath.
Okay, what's your infatuation of not playing out in the weather?
Because you cannot play your best football in the weather. You just can't. It is no matter what weather we're talking about, wind, rain, snow, heat, whatever, the worse the elements are, the less efficient the best football players in the world are. And when I tune in to watch the NFL, I tune in to watch the best football players on the planet do athletic things that I can't fathom the human body being capable of doing. And so when you add snow and slippery and cold and wet and this and that and the other, it decreases the efficiency rating at which the best athletes in the world can do the best athletic things in the world, and it makes the game lesser than it is when conditions are prime.
Alonzo knows firsthand, being an Ohio boy. I know firsthand, being a Jersey boy. Yes, you can play in the weather, and yes, it is fun to play in the weather. Yes, it may slow down your skills and whatever it is else you have out there for performing, but it's just the fact of getting to play in that type of weather is just a different feeling.
I'm not, Joe, I'm not arguing that it's not fun to go outside in the weather.
Really? Now you're not arguing?
No,
okay.
stop.
Fine. No.
Listen to my argument. When it snowed here, when we blizzarded it here a couple of years ago,
blizzard here.
When it was one of the worst snowstorms ever recorded in history here a couple of years ago, I absolutely went outside. My then girlfriend, now wife, went out. We built a snowman. We had a snowball fight. Like, we did the whole thing, and it was a blast. It was fun, okay? But if you would have asked me to go outside, Joe, and win a basketball game in it, would it have been fun to play? I don't know, maybe for a minute. But would I have been able to be the best basketball player I could be? Objectively, it is impossible to be the best football player that Russell Wilson or TJ Watt or Myles Garrett can be when they are fighting turf that is either slippery or frozen solid, when they are fighting a plummeting body temperature, right? Like, you cannot, I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm saying you can't be the best that you can be in those conditions. And if I'm tuning in to watch the best football players in the world, I want to watch them play the best football they can play.
Yes, obviously they need the best that they can be, but these guys are also professionals. This is their job. This is what they're getting paid to do. They need to go out there and try to do whatever they can to get the job done.
Joe, again, I get it. You're not, like, you and Lonzo both, you're not addressing the argument. You keep going, yeah, but here's this other argument. I'm not arguing that it's not their job or that they should. Like, yes, if Myles Garrett came out and was like, yeah, no, bleep that, I'm not going to play, I'd be like, no, you're getting paid a lot of money. Go out there and play. I don't care if it's cold, right? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, can Russell Wilson be the best quarterback he can be when it is 31 degrees and snowing? No, it's not possible. It is not possible for him to perform at the same level as he would if it was 72 and sunny. It's not possible, Joe. Like, I'm not, you're throwing all these other arguments that aren't the argument that I'm making. I want to see the best Russell Wilson throw into the best George Pickens, being blocked behind the best offensive line, up against the best Cleveland defensive line, and that cannot be done in the snow. That's my argument.
I got you, buddy. I got you.
Thanks. I appreciate
your understanding. Yeah, because we're not changing his mind, Joe. It's fine. I mean,
you can't change my mind because what I'm saying is objectively correct. You may not like it. You may be like, I don't care about that.
Poor gentle Florida boy.
Lonzo. Joe, don't go anywhere. Joe, let me ask you the question. Yeah. If you don't mind, what do you do for a living? If you're allowed to tell us.
I'm a truck driver.
Okay. Joe, you're an excellent truck driver, I assume. At least I hope, for the sake of everyone around you on the road. Joe, if you're a truck driver and they say, we need you to haul this load of widgets from point A to point B, and outside of your truck, it's 72 and sunny. And that means that's a 2-hour trip. If they ask you to haul that same load of widgets from point A to point B, and it is nighttime, 22 degrees, and snowing like it was in Cleveland last night, are you getting that truckload of widgets from A to B in the same time?
No.
That's my point, Joe.
But I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it, though.
I don't disagree. You're still doing it, Joe. But if I'm entertained and paying money to tune in and watch you drive the truck, I want to watch you be the best truck driver you can be. This is like people who watch NASCAR for the wrecks. Are you wrong for doing it? No, if that's what entertains you. But are you getting the best race if I got the big one happening every 2 laps? No, I'm here to watch a race, not a wreck, right? So my point here is, yes, Joe, you're a truck driver. You're a great truck driver. And if it's 72 and sunny, you're going to be the best truck driver you can be. And if it's 31 and snowing outside, you have to pull back on all the things that make you an excellent truck driver to get the widgets from A to B. And if I'm tuning in to watch the best version of Truck Driving Joe, I'm not getting it in a blizzard, am I?
No, absolutely not.
That's all I'm saying, bud. Appreciate it, big dog. Good to have you on the show.
We love you guys.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. My man, Joe. Again, like,
Listen, it's fighting a losing battle, trying to convince you otherwise. You're not going to convince us, and sometimes you're just wrong, and you're wrong. And there's no fixing you're wrong here.
Everything I am saying, I just got Joe to acknowledge.
Now he realized that there was no fixing you and how wrong you are.
No.
So he just moved on.
You are just making stuff
Plus,
up.
there was a kid crying in the background, which started crying once you started yelling, because that's what you do to children.
No, I don't yell at children. I yell at adults. Children I don't yell at.
Which cause children
because
to
I
cry.
expect that there is a lesser cognitive level amongst children. If a child says...
So you just said kids are dumb, so I don't yell at them.
Right. Yes. Correct. See, at least you can understand what I'm saying. I was a kid. Kids are dumb. That's why I don't yell at my nephew, but I will at my brother. When my nephew does something dumb, I go, hey, Lewis, this is why the thing you did was dumb and wrong. Okay? Do you understand? Here's why it's bad. Here's why we don't do it. Here's how you can do better. Do you understand? When my brother does something dumb and wrong, I go, hey, you big stupid idiot. You know what you did was wrong because I just got Joe to acknowledge that truck driver Joe is not hauling at the same efficiency in a blizzard as he is when it's 72 and sunny. He said it, not me. Not me. You guys keep deflecting to you're propping up straw man left and right. You're going full Don Quixote on me and fighting all these windmills that I'm not arguing in favor of. All I am saying is, and this is objectively true, is that you cannot do something to its full efficiency in the snow, in the sleet, in the hail, in the ice, in the cold. You just can't do that.
Way to project. You're the Don Quixote in this scenario. All alone, fighting a windmill that is the weather, while everybody else is saying, yeah, I love watching football in the weather. I love playing football in the weather. You are a Don Quixote, not everyone else.
If I go outside.
It was a nice try, though.
If I go outside, and when you're leaving the building today, I just start dumping ice cubes and frozen water, and I put ice down on the parking lot between here and your car, Lonzo. Are you gonna have just no issues getting your car like you do when it's a regular day outside?
Here's what I can do. I got a better shot at getting in my car in those conditions than you do, because you're a gentle Florida boy.
You about to tick me off is what's happening right now. You about to tick me off is what's happening. Because what you're saying is objectively, verifiably untrue.
No,
it's just untrue.
It's not true. I can walk better in conditions than you can.
Can you?
Yes.
What am I doing tonight?
Even it doesn't matter. It's not the same thing. That's manufactured ice. There isn't the other things that come into play. There's not the snow coming down. There's not the cold, the kind of cold that it is outside and all this kind of stuff.
I don't care. All right, everybody acknowledge Lonzo's the biggest, baddest son of a gun in the world, okay?
No.
He's the biggest, baddest.
I can just walk in snow and ice better than you can.
You can't be the best Lonzo in the snow. It's just objectively impossible.
Hey,
you
Rob,
cannot
here's
perform.
Here's the thing. Speaking of objective, you don't know that because you haven't seen me in the ice and the snow, and that's where I was born. So you don't know that.
It is impossible. It is impossible for anyone to perform at the same efficiency in snow, ice, and cold as it is in sunshine, unless you are an ice skater or a snow skier where you can't not do those things in the sunshine. If you are running, jumping, throwing, passing, catching, or moving,
I don't know what the point is either, Tracy. The point is he does it like snow games.
Yes.
He wants every stadium dome.
Yes.
And he's not going to get what he wants.
Because last night's game, you might have been entertained by it. And why? Let's be real. The reason you're entertained is I like watching these guys struggle. I like watching these guys have to fight through it. I like watching these guys having to not just beat the opponent, but beat the elements too. I don't.
No,
I
snow
want
is the only thing that makes Browns uniforms look okay.
I want to see 22 dudes, and I want to see these 11 dudes beat these 11 dudes. Not a bunch of outside factors. These 11 versus these 11. Who's better? And every bit of weather takes away from that. All right, I'm done with the weather conversation. I'm done with it. I'm over it. I'm cooked.
I hope so.
I'm done with it. When we come back, I'm gonna do something fun, funny. I don't know yet, because y'all got my blood pressure through the damn roof at this point. So I gotta take a break. We're gonna do something funny when we come back. It's the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
Thought you were going to talk through two beds there. It's like,
Thought about it.
Stop.
Thought about it.
Don't make me put forth effort on my last day on the show, for a while.
Oh, I was going to say, that's a weird place to stop
For
that
a
sentence.
while. I mean, I wanted to say my last day at work before vacation, but I do have to work tomorrow, so. Moles, you can report this to him that I'm requesting this, but if you get a chance and you are on social media, send whatever snow video or pictures you can to Rob. That and Dotson's. Wow, how considerate of you, Bill Brooks.
That might not be wrong, Adam. Tyson v. Paul in the snow might have been more entertaining.
I bet you go to that show.
Oh, wait, Courtney wants to go. I mean, I'll go if she wants to go. I will not go by myself. I'll go to a lot of shows by myself, not that one.
After what you said, hey, Lauren Elena's going to be there. You like her? You don't know who Lauren Elena is? She's a country star that used to be on American Idol like 10 years ago. Yeah, she's had a bunch of hits, I believe.
I'll watch American Idol if they bring William Hung back, and that's it.
She bangs.
Anywhere, anytime.
She chefties?
At mtcfederal.com.
I guess that's a way to go.
When you're hiring, ZipRecruiter's technology makes finding qualified candidates for your job easy. What if the rest of the world was as easy as ZipRecruiter? Math problems wouldn't be so problematic. And summiting Everest would be a walk in the park. In the meantime, if you want to make your hiring easier, use ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Are you a victim of the contract?
By the way, that helmet fit on Lisa's head. So a normal size head, it would fit. I actually got it on my head eventually, but it looked like a beanie.
Lonzo got the Gladiator 2 Gladiator popcorn bucket helmet thing.
It looks really cool.
It does look cool.
By the way, Denzel Washington, the only way you know he's a bad guy is his smile. I mean, he's the same character in every movie, but if he smiles, you couldn't tell that from the trailer. You absolutely could tell it from the trailer. I already knew going in from the trailer. I was upset that I knew.
I assumed he was playing the role of dadgummit, what's his name from the first one?
In his goal, in the trailer, he says his goal, which is to take over Rome. I don't think as bloody as the first one, though. I mean, definitely a bunch of battles, but not as, I don't know, graphic. Story was great, though.
Chris Miller of the South Carolina Gamecock Radio Network, hosts the pregame and postgame show, going to join us coming up in actually right about an hour from right now. Chris Miller will join us at the end of the next hour. We will review the South Carolina Mizzou game, and we will preview Wofford this weekend. Obviously, South Carolina looking to win their first game against a non-top 25 opponent in the last four, and set themselves up for yet one more top 25 game in the Palmetto Bowl coming up next weekend. We'll have Chris join us at 7:40.
Hey, you remember when people wanted Shane Beamer gone? Remember like at the beginning of the season?
Do.
You remember that?
Beginning of the season, like after the Ole Miss loss, some of y'all were calling for the head.
That'll be you. But you know.
I never called for him to be gone. What I said was there was a lot, and I've owned this. This isn't a gotcha. I have owned it. I said it to Lulu Keston. I said it to Chris Miller last week. I've said it on various segments away from it. I absolutely owe Shane Beamer's flowers and an apology. Same with Dow Loggins. Same with Clayton White. Same with the coordinators. I said about both of them repeatedly. I thought that there was a discussable lack of development of this football team on both sides of the football. I pointed out during the Ole Miss game what I perceived as a lack of discipline. I pointed out what I perceived as a lack of accountability, and I call those things out as a problem. And now this team is arguably one of the hottest franchises, one of the hottest programs in college football going right now. Without a doubt. This team has hit a different gear. I think you are seeing offensively a cohesion and a lack of predictability that was not there at Ole Miss. I thought that I think there has been obviously a growth in the performance of Lenora Sellers, Rocket Sanders, the offensive line under Dow Loggins. And I talked about this yesterday with Lulu Keston from the Greenville News, who covers the Gamecocks and joins us every Thursday at 8 a.m. to talk Gamecock football. I said I had a lot of complaints earlier in the year about the play calling of Dow Loggins, about the offensive coordinator. I had some issues with the way that the games were being orchestrated on that side of the football. And looking in retrospect now, doing the Monday morning quarterback thing, I think I look at it now and say, I think there were elements of it that I think I was correct about. I think it took a lot longer for Lenora Sellers and Rocket Sanders to develop within the South Carolina program. I think it took longer than I would have preferred it to. But now that those two fellas have gotten to the point that they have gotten at, I think the offense has been opened up. I think it is far less predictable than it was back in the early parts of the season. I think you have added some complexity. I think you're seeing a lot more in terms of passing concepts down the field. I think those passing concepts down the field have allowed the run game to be opened up quite a bit. I think there are available options to Dow Loggins that maybe he didn't have back at the beginning of the year. And I even asked Lulu Keston yesterday, I'm like, do you think that the change in the offensive play calling and execution might be correlated to that lack of development? And Lulu said, yeah, right? Like she wasn't fully sold on it, but she said it's a possibility. And I stick with that being the case. I think there was a lack of development, a lack of progression and talent on the offensive side of the football earlier in the year that now that we have seen it, now that it's brought out, and I don't know what the change was. I don't know what the shifting gear was that took LaNorris Sellers from being a guy that in the, say, Alabama game, right? I was busting him up for making some freshman mistakes in that game. And while acknowledging, because I think it was important to, while acknowledging the fact that he is a young cat and he is in his first year of being QB1, and he does have a lot of pressure on him to perform because the expectations in year 4 for Shane Beamer are the highest they've been since he showed up on campus. So, of course, there was pressure on the cat. In fact, I will play this clip for you real quick. Shane Beamer gave a brief anecdote.
Our program after last season, and one of the reasons he told me that we were leaving is he said, I don't think we're going to be very good and we don't have a quarterback. Like, he told me that. And I said, well, I disagree. We got us a quarterback. You've seen, our quarterbacks at practice, and we're going to be good around him. And that player said, I don't know, coach, it ain't looking too good. Well, he's somewhere else right now, and there's a lot of guys that are here and are glad they're here as well.
So Shane Beamer says that he had a cat hit the transfer portal. When asked why, he said, I don't think we're going to be very good at quarterback next year. Now, I'm not going to venture a guess as to who he might be talking about. Okay. I don't want to guess. I will, however, say, Lonzo, if you get a break, I could use some juice, is all I'm saying. All right. Now, I'm not going to guess which player it is, but I hope he's doing well at whatever school he landed up at. Okay.
I'm offended by your analogy, but I get it.
It's not an analogy. It was just a way for me to say it's Juice Wells without saying it's Juice Wells.
I know, but it's like, get your own juice, punk.
I don't actually need you to go get me juice.
Good, because okay. I don't think we have any.
Well, there is orange juice in the fridge downstairs.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but
once or twice a week, I'll actually grab a glass early in the morning.
Yeah, but
I don't know who brings it.
I was going to say you don't know whose it is.
Nope, sure don't.
And you've just admitted on the air. I don't know if I'd have did that.
Don't care. Anyway, point here is, I understand that. First off, I don't think Juice Wells left because of LaNorris Sellers. I think Juice Wells left because Lane Kiffin knows how to work the portal. And there's some NIL money floating around in Oxford, Mississippi. By the way, we got to talk about the flip of Bryce Underwood to Michigan.
Would South Carolina be better if Juice Wells had stayed?
Yes.
Did he improve himself by going elsewhere?
I don't know. I mean, did he improve himself?
His
yes.
draft stock.
Yes.
All right. Did he improve his draft stock by going somewhere else?
He had I think you have to address it from, did it make sense for him to go? And the answer respectfully is yes, because I don't think you could have projected the rise of LaNorris. I mean, yes, some of you Gamecock fans are going to go, I projected it, but of course you did. It's your quarterback, right? It's your quarterback. I don't think a lot of us projected LaNorris Sellers turning into a guy that would go out there, dump 5 tutties on the heads of Mizzou and win National Player of the Year.
All right, is he with a better quarterback now?
Jackson Dart is a projected top 10 NFL draft pick. Yes. Now, that's not to say LaNorris Sellers a year from now won't be putting up numbers in comparison with Jackson Dart. But Jackson Dart, a quarterback that, by the way, I very much doubted coming into this year. I did a show with BetQL's PJ Glasser before the year started, and we were given our teams that we thought were overrated coming into the year. And one of mine was Ole Miss. I'm like, I think they're going to be fine. Do I think they're national championship caliber? Not really, because I think Jackson Dart's overrated. But Jackson Dart's got numbers. They got a couple of interesting losses. I think Ole Miss is absolutely going to the playoffs. I do not think that Ole Miss is a team I would select as a team to put a bet down on to win the Natty. But based on the factors and the knowledge available to Juice Wells when he made the decision to transfer, if making it to the league is his priority, no, I can't blame him for leaving. I can blame him for how he handled the departure. I can blame him for being immature during the departure process. But the actual decision to leave, I can't beat up on him for. Did we think Lenoris was going to be good? Think? No. Hope? Sure. Did we think? Would you have laid money that Lenoris Sellers was going to be a guy that was carrying South Carolina to a win over Mizzou, that was winning National Player of the Week awards? Nah, not really. I thought he had all the potential in the world. Whether we'd ever see it or not was up in the air. We know what Jackson Dart was. We know what Jackson Dart was. Texas said we wouldn't have won any of the games that we lost if Juice had stayed. He can continue to off. I don't know if I agree with that, Texter. I don't know if I agree with that. I think Juice Wells helps you beat LSU, a game you lost by one score. A game you lost by one score because Lenoris Sellers went down with an injury.
I thought that's what the texter just said.
No, he said we would not have won any of the games that we lost if Juice was on the team. I disagree with you.
Misheard you there.
I think that again, I'm not guaranteeing it because that's not how football works. But I think you could have beat LSU with Juice. And hey, who's to say that tragic Hail Mary that Lenoris threw up at the end of the Alabama game? Who's to say that one of the most physically gifted, although it's not showing up in the stat sheet, who's to say that one of the most physically gifted wide receivers in the SEC doesn't find a way to get up onto that football and give you an opportunity to run one more play inside the 2 to win the game, right? I'm not going to agree. I understand you're mad at Juice Wells leaving. You should be. You should be. I get it. You should be. But to say you wouldn't have been better with the guy on the team, I mean, unless he was just such a locker room cancer that it was addition by subtraction. And I don't know if that is true or not. All right. I heard stories. I heard talk that he was. I got no proof that he is or isn't. Okay. So I don't know that I can agree with that. What I can say is I get why he left. I understand why he left. I understand why Bryce Underwood flipped his commitment from LSU to Michigan. And by the way, I don't think, yes, it's about a $10.5 million NIL deal that Michigan put on the table, but I don't think that's the only reason he left. We'll address that coming up here in just a little while. I think that the way that this breaks down to me is South Carolina is better than any of us thought they were going to be. I asked you guys at the beginning of the year, go back to the preseason. I do it every year. I said, Carolina fans, what is your realistic expectation, ceiling and floor? Realistic. And there were, if I recall correctly, and I have them saved somewhere on my computer where I don't know, but I recorded your projections. The average ceiling projection from you guys was 7 wins. The average floor projection for you guys was 4. 8-4 is on the table. 9-3 is realistic. They are dramatically outperforming what South Carolina fans on this show felt was the most optimistic of expectations. They're outperforming that. Did they look like they were going to after the Ole Miss game? To me, the answer is no. They did not. And yet here we are. So I have already said a number of times, I owe Shane Beamer an apology and some flowers. All right? That's a phrase, by the way. I've gotten asked 3 times why it is that I would send Shane Beamer flowers. It's a metaphor. All right? It's a metaphor for an apology. I owe the guy an apology. Dow Loggins owe an apology. Clayton White owe an apology. Because these guys have developed this team. I think the people who need to be called out, and I am one of these, is the people who are demanding coordinator changes during the offseason, right? Remember that conversation? Shane's biggest problem is that he keeps allowing his buddies to be coordinators and they're holding the team back. We got to move on from the coordinators. Well, I got to tell you, Dow Loggins and Clayton White seem to have both genuinely turned a corner with the development of their guys on both sides of the football, and you're benefiting from it now. So, we'll talk more about it because we got Chris Miller coming up here in about 40 minutes from right now. We will talk to him, Rashad Beard, at 9 o'clock, and we will have the fellas from the Movin the Chains Pod joining us at either 8:40 or 9:20. I'll let you know when I hear back from them. All of that coming up after Lonzo Shefties you with this Sports Flash.
I got nothing. The Cleveland Browns ended the 6-game win streak of the Pittsburgh Steelers in glorious snow last night. With a 24-19 win, Cleveland allowed a Pittsburgh touchdown late, but answered within the final minute to take the lead and prevented a Hail Mary touchdown at the buzzer. Jameis Winston had 219 yards and a rushing touchdown, and Nick Chubb ran for 2 in the win. Pittsburgh is now 8-3, while Cleveland is 3-8. Clemson knocked off the Radford Highlanders. There can be only one. On the hardwood, 79-51 last night. Chauncey Wiggins scored 16. Ian Shefflin had 14, and Dylan Hunter recorded 15 off the bench for the Tigers, who shot 51% from the floor and 48% from deep in the win. Clemson is 4-1 to start the season. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels continue their run in the playoffs against the Spartanburg Vikings. You can say it. It's Burns versus Spartanburg right here on the Fan, upstate. Spartanburg. Yeah, that's what I keep trying to say. They're going to be playing Spartanburg tonight.
George Pickens is catching a WWE deal, isn't he?
Oh, of course. So, like George Kittle. I mean, there are a couple guys they're transitioning.
Yeah, but Pickens fighting everybody. He's fighting DBs. He's fighting fans.
Can't wait till he smacks Russell Wilson. But that's just me. Raven and Lisa went and saw Wicked last night at the same time that we saw.
What did they say about it?
They said they loved it.
I've heard it's really good.
I'm curious about who's going to win the weekend. I think Wicked will win.
I do too.
But we'll see. The demographic for what we were for Gladiator 2 was me and Cameron and I don't know, probably 20 other people in there, the majority of which were older black dudes.
Really?
Denzel guys. I mean, guys my age that grew up with Denzel Washington. And I know that's why they were there. So
I think Denzel is like transcendent in demographic.
He is. No, I agree. But the movies I go see, older black dudes aren't usually there. So I have to look at it and see that he's who brought them out, which was excellent. It was a good crowd. I mean, there wasn't a lot of talking and stuff.
How were the flooded Coliseum scenes? Were they as cool as I hope they are?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. And your first thought is, well, that's not very historic.
It is.
Is it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, should I go look this up? Did they really do that?
Yeah. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show drops now. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob Brown, the Great Malonzo, and you. 844-FANFO-NE, 844-326-3663 is the number to the renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone. You can also text us 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the air. FAN, F-A-N. We will read them on the show. Like the text that came in during the break that said, Juice Wells. I love college football. It's the best. Texter said, what if Clemson loses to the Citadel and they aren't a top 25 team? I mean, it would be shocking.
Come on.
It would be shocking.
They're not going to, I haven't looked up to see how good the Citadel's playing this year. I mean, they might be in contention. I don't know. How good Citadel, Rob?
I was going to say there is absolutely no reason for Clemson to lose to the Citadel, even if it's the Citadel's best year. But that might strike a chord with Gamecock fans. So I'm not going to do that. The Citadel Bulldogs are that's their basketball team. Let's see. Let me look up the football. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know is the answer.
No, I think you're right. I think they're 3-5. Well, it should be
5-6. Yeah.
Okay.
They are 5-6. They have wins over Charleston Southern by a point. They beat North Greenville 54-0. They have a win over VMI, Samford, and Wofford. They have taken L's to South Carolina State, Mercer, ETSU, Furman by a point, Western Carolina, Chattanooga, and they will.
So the thing is, at 5-6, I was looking at their conference record. That's because I'm dumb. And this is their way to get bowl eligible. They got to beat Clemson.
They got to beat Clemson. I mean,
I'm sure they have another game after that, but still, you got to beat Clemson to be bowl eligible.
Everything on the line for the Citadel this weekend. They're not going to drop one to the Citadel.
You don't want to play the Citadel when they got something to play for. I mean, you do not want to do that.
Everything on the line for the Citadel. They're not going to. And frankly, let's keep it a buck here. Like, this isn't something that is going to happen very often. South Carolina, you better not be rooting for an upset this weekend. Because I will tell you this, you're not getting into the playoffs, okay? But if you do, it's going to be because, 4 of your last 5 came against ranked teams? Because you would put together wins in all of them? Like, that's how you get in. If you can fight your way in, that's how you get in. So, you're not rooting for an upset this weekend. All right, 7:03 in the morning. You are about 56 and a half minutes away from having to get clocked in, locked in, and ready for work. Don't worry. It's Friday. Got to get down on Friday. Everybody's working for the weekend. But you do have to work for the weekend. And at some point today, you're going to want to step away, walk down the hallway, head to the break room, pour yourself a nice, cold, refreshing glass of water, and stand around the water cooler as you talk to your coworkers about what's going on in the world of sports. And if you don't know what's going on in the world of sports, don't you worry. We've got you covered. That's why we do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Great, you guys, I'm going home."
where they take their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is the Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office this AM and start talking sports with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you spend your day with. These are the 3 things you will be talking about today. Let's dive right in with item number 1. Mike Tomlin's record with the Steelers in divisional road games, 5-1 against the Cleveland Browns. The fifth in that 5 came last night when the Browns knocked off the Steelers. 24-19 was your final. The Steelers actually took the lead in the final quarter of the contest last night. They had an opportunity late when they were able to put up 7 on the board on a Calvin Austin 23-yard pass from Russell Wilson. That put the Steelers up 1. They went for the 2-point conversion to make it the field goal. It did not work, but with 57 seconds left on the clock, Nick Chubb went rumbling, bumbling, stumbling into the end zone from 2 yards out. 9-play, 45-yard, 2-minute, and 25-second drive conducted by Jameis Winston led to a Cleveland Browns tutty. That put them up 5 at 24-19. They went for the 2-point conversion. It was unsuccessful, so the Steelers had an opportunity with less than a minute to play to go the length of the field after the kickoff. Russell Wilson ended up throwing about a 45-yard Hail Mary into the end zone that was knocked down, and that'd do it. 24-19, the Browns get the dub. Last night, Jameis Winston, 18 of 27 for 219 and 1 interception in the game. However, he did have a 7-yard rushing touchdown that ended up being absolutely critical. 4th down in the pocket. Nobody's open. Jameis scrambles out to the right, takes a ton of contact as he crosses the goal line into the end zone. Able to hang on to the rock and punch it through. Nick Chubb had 59 yards, but a pair of touchdowns on the ground. Russell Wilson, not a bad night. 21 of 28, 270, 1 touchdown, but he was sacked 4 times in this game. Pittsburgh rushed the ball for 120 yards. Cleveland only 85. 78 yards and a touch for Calvin Austin the third. But the Steelers, when it came down to it, just a little bit of let's say questionable clock management from Mike Tomlin at the end of the second and fourth quarters that I think ultimately came back to bite him squarely in the buttocks. Not great.
You didn't say that. Tell me you did not just say that.
Mike Tomlin's a guy that is absolutely going into the NFL Hall of Fame, but I absolutely also think there should have to be conversations had about clock mismanagement by Mike Tomlin in some big games throughout his career. I don't know how big of a result this is going to end up being. The Steelers have been considered by a lot of us as a legitimate threat in the AFC. That was the end of a 6-game winning streak for the Steelers. But it also is the NFL. So we'll see what impact this L has on Pittsburgh as we get towards the end of the year. Let's get to item number 2. Your AL and NL MVPs have been announced in Major League Baseball, and to the shock of exactly no one, Shohei Ohtani of the LA Dodgers becomes the first full-time designated hitter to win an MVP. He joined the 50-50 club this year. He is in that club by himself this year. Ohtani also becomes the 12th player to win 3 MVPs, becomes the second behind Stan Musial to do so within their first 7 seasons. Before Ohtani, who just won the award in both leagues, the last player to win the MVP in both the AL and NL was Frank Robinson back in the 1960s. Shohei led the NL in home runs with 54, ribbies with 130, and a 1.036 OPS, added 59 stolen bases, 33 more than his previous high. He did all of that with the betting scandal of Issei Mitsuhara, his former translator, starting off the season. Ohtani set the Dodgers' single-season record for home runs, stole more bases than any Japanese-born player in baseball history, and became the first DH to lead his league in wins above replacement, and joined Ty Cobb as the only player to finish within the top 2 in the majors in both homers and steals. Before last night, No MLB player had ever won multiple MVPs unanimously. Shohei Ohtani has now done it 3 times as he captured all 30 first place votes. Also capturing all 30 first place votes was Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees. He led the majors in homers with 58, led in RBIs with 144, and led the majors in OPS with a 1.159. He also had an 11.2 wins above replacement mark in a 2024 season that saw Aaron Judge spend most of his time in center field. And, of course, the Yankees did win the pennant and lose to, well, Shohei's Dodgers. Judge's 223 adjusted OPS was amongst the highest right-handed hitters since 1900, according to ESPN research, became the 3rd player with at least 50 home runs and an adjusted OPS of 200 or more. The only other 2 guys to do that, Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds. Pretty good list overall. Judge is the 7th New York Yankee to win multiple MVPs, joining Joe DiMaggio, Mickey Mantle, Yogi Berra, Alex Rodriguez, and Roger Maris. Before Judge, Mantle's 1956 season was the only one in Yankees history to yield a unanimous MVP vote. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge both elected as MVPs, both of them unanimously. Let's get to item number 3. All right. This one is going to be interesting, and we are going to talk about this a little bit more at length coming up in the next segment. 5-star quarterback Bryce Underwood, the number 1 quarterback recruit according to ESPN, has been committed to the LSU Tigers for about 9 months. Until yesterday, when the 6'4", 210-pound pocket passer from Michigan decided to commit to Michigan. He is a top pocket passer in the class, becomes the highest-rated offensive commit in Michigan program history, and the top prospect in Sherrone Moore's inaugural recruiting class, which currently sits at number 14, according to the ESPN rankings. Underwood's move comes as the latest piece of quarterback movement atop the 2025 class. Since the start of the early signing period, 5-star quarterback Julian Lewis decommitted from USC and subsequently pledged to Colorado yesterday as well. Underwood has been pledged to LSU since January 6th. He has been the crown jewel of Brian Kelly's 2025 recruiting class. As a matter of fact, according to some of my people down in Louisiana, down in Baton Rouge, a place where they do not play football in the snow, a lot of folks feel like the pledge of Bryce Underwood was the only thing that was preventing Brian Kelly from getting a call down to the principal's office at LSU since Brian Kelly showed up. The list of results has not been spectacular for the former Notre Dame coach, and now he has just lost the one thing that, according to a solid chunk of Baton Rouge media, was perhaps keeping him safe from the hot seat. Now, what are we going to talk about? Because you guys know, I on one hand acknowledge that recruiting is the lifeblood of college football. I, on one hand, acknowledge that it must be discussed and talked about, and a story like this one is obviously of great importance in the landscape of college football. I obviously understand that on one hand, these types of stories are major deals in the college football landscape. On the other hand, Rob Brown hates following recruiting. I don't like it, all right? I will talk about a recruiting class 2 years after they show up and start playing football.
It's really surprising because you're such a stats guy, analytics guy, and most of recruiting seems to be in that vein to me.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. We won't spend a ton of time on this, but I'm happy to explain it. I've watched a lot of high school football in the day. I've called it play-by-play in color. I've been around it for years and years and years. And one of the things that I pointed out for a very long time is you can go like they did with Bryce Underwood and point out that Bryce Underwood made his way onto the radar Because in 2021, he threw for 2,888 yards, 39 touchdowns in his freshman season at Belleville High School, led the Tigers to back-to-back state titles in his first 2 seasons under center, and then earned Michigan Gatorade Player of the Year award honors as a junior in 2023, completing 64.8% of his passes for 3,329 yards and 44 touchdowns, guided Belleville to a 3rd consecutive state title game. And if he can get another one this year, that'd be 4 years, 4 state championships. There's something to be said for that. But on the flip side of that discussion,
that sounds unprecedented.
Sure does.
Probably isn't, but it sounds like that isn't done very often.
Sure does. And I think there is something to be said that obviously those numbers stand out. Obviously, that is something nobody else has done. Obviously, that makes the guy a pretty good quarterback. On the flip side,
would he have better stats if he played somewhere where there wasn't snow?
Probably. Because you can't do things as efficiently in the snow as you can not in the snow. But forget all that. We're not going down that path again because I've already been chided for being angry in the first hour of the show. What I will say is there not, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, so no one take it that way. It is one thing, great one, as somebody who's been in and around the high school football scene in this area for a long time. If I told you a kid went out and threw for 265 yards and 3 touchdowns on the road at Dorman or at Gaffney, would that have the same impact as saying a kid went out and threw for 265 yards and 3 touchdowns at Wren? No. Right?
No, because it's about conference and competition.
Absolutely.
And all that stuff, for sure. And when you were talking about his stats before you said where he was from, I was thinking, oh, okay. But Michigan's got pretty good, believe it or not, people in the South, there is good high school football elsewhere, and they've got pretty good high school football.
Sure. I'm not anti any of that. What I'm saying is, respectfully, as somebody who doesn't only talk about college football, right? Recruiting is wonderful if your show is just only college football. And I'm not saying that's bad. For some guys, that's the show they want. They just only want college football. But here on the Rob Brown Show, we're well-rounded, both physically and metaphorically. Lonzo and I talk hockey and UFC and wrestling and baseball and soccer and just about every other sport except pickleball and lacrosse. All right? Like, we talk a little bit of everything. So what I don't have, respectfully, is time to go look at the opponents that Bryce Underwood took on and go, well, he did all this, but against this school, and this school had these wins, and they did it. I don't know Michigan high school teams, and I'm never going to because I got too much other crap to pay attention to.
He went up against this prospect that's going to this school from that high school, and then they had 3-4 stars that he beat on this. It's a lot of work.
Right. Yeah. And I will let the recruiting bros do all of that. I will follow the biggest names when recruiting season gets here. But I'm sorry, I'm not taking time away from being the best NFL talker I can be, being the best offseason MLB talker I can be, being the best NBA talker I can be, to go break down the numbers and opponents of a high school quarterback out of Michigan.
So is this a story because of Brian Kelly, or is this a story because of the money?
This is a story because the reports are, and this is why we're going to come back and talk about this a little bit more in the next segment of the show. This is because while this is not necessarily, and we don't know, although all of us are happy to speculate, this is because allegedly there's an NIL deal on the table for Bryce Underwood out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, that clocks into the tune of 4 years, $10.5 million with an M dollars for a 17-year-old high schooler. And we're going to talk about that NIL deal and the impact that it has on college football and get your thoughts on it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live, and we're right back. Stay right there for me. What is up, friends? It's Rob Brown. I hope you're enjoying the show. If you're not, I don't know why you're here, but I am glad
that you are. Hey, do us a favor. Whether you're enjoying it or not, would you mind sharing this around your social media, please? And thank you, Twitter, X, whatever you call it. I don't care. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, it doesn't matter to me. Help us get the good word out. We're trying to get famous and rich, and we can't do it without your help. So, The Rob Brown Show is on all social media, or share the YouTube channel, the Facebook page, wherever you're watching this, and we'd appreciate it very much. Now, let's get back to the show. Stick around. What is up?
No athlete in America is worth $10.5 million ever, not one. I mean, Trevor Lawrence disagrees. I've enjoyed watching people the last couple of days. They put out a list of the 10 highest paid NFL quarterbacks by annual salary, and Trevor Lawrence is number 1 or tied for number 1. Patrick Mahomes is number 10. Everybody's like, what a deal from the Chiefs. And I'm like, yeah, until his next contract comes up. And then it goes right to the top of the list.
He just had a recent contract. He does the deal like what Tom Brady did and other guys do. Give money to other people so he can keep the team good.
Chris Miller from the Gamecock Radio Network joins us coming up in the next segment. We'll talk about the win over Mizzou, as well as his thoughts on what he expects to see in the Gamecocks tune-up game tomorrow against Wofford as they get ready for the Palmetto Bowl the week after that. We got Rashad Beard coming up at 9 o'clock, and I am waiting to hear back from our boy Kevin Thomas from the Movin the Chains Pod. We will have them on at either 8:40 or 9:20 to get you set up for the second round of the high school playoffs around the upstate and around the state of South Carolina. All that coming up as the show progresses ever forward. So the rumor out there is that Bryce Underwood is catching a deal, an NIL deal, 4 years, $10.5 million to flip his commitment from Baton Rouge, Louisiana's LSU up to Ann Arbor, home of Big Blue, and go be a nemesis of Lonzo's for the next handful of years. So the interesting thing,
or until he gets paid more somewhere else.
I mean, there ain't nowhere else that's paying more than that than the NFL. And even the NFL likely isn't handing a rookie quarterback that kind of contract. There is a realistic possibility that NIL deals, and this may be a step in that direction, great one. There's a realistic possibility that NIL deals start to exceed rookie NFL contracts. That guys are getting paid more to stick around at college than they would be to go get drafted and go to the league, even at the quarterback spot.
Will that affect rookie contracts in the NFL? Will they make the money go up?
I don't know. I don't know is the answer. I don't know how Roger Goodell and the NFL handle that. Maybe not.
Do you consider that in the same market? You do, right? So if the market rises at a lower level, you've got to raise it in the higher
Well, let's
level.
start with this. The NFL ain't got to do a gosh darn thing. The ratings aren't going up or down based on if rookie quarterbacks. The only issue that would be the case is if owners and coaches come out and go, we want to make sure these guys come out quicker, right? Like, that's the only way it moves.
At the same time, it's probably maybe the NFL is glad about this because you're not getting guys too young because they're getting paid where they are, and so they can take their time to develop more. So when they get to the NFL, they're a better player.
Sure. Again, like there's 100 ways to attack this from the NFL standpoint, but looking at it from the standpoint of college football, there is a spot. I've said this for a long time. I think a lot of you guys are approaching this the wrong way. Because what I have seen a bunch of is, like Zach just said, respectfully, in the chat, Zach just said, pardon me, no athlete is worth $10.5 million ever, not one. Zach, just like everything else, something is worth whatever someone is willing to give to them. That's how it works. That is the system of neo-capitalism that we exist in. Something is worth as much as someone is willing to fork over for it. If I go into a bar, I'm a wine guy. I'm a champagne guy. All right, I like the finer things in life.
Is that like a now thing? Because I thought you were a bourbon guy.
I'm a bourbon guy too. I'm an everything guy. I'm as well-rounded in my liquor taste as I am my music taste.
I didn't know if after you got married, you automatically became a wine guy.
No, I've always been a wine guy.
Okay.
I love wine. But I use champagne for this example. When I was, 22, 23, my parents took me on a cruise. And we, one night, got randomly selected to sit at the captain's table for dinner. Basically, when you came into dinner in the dinner hall, every night the captain would just select a group of families to sit with him at the captain's table. It's a big honor. It's a big privilege to sit with the captain, right? El Capitan. And we got to. And one of the things that came along with getting selected to sit at the captain's table was that everybody at the table got a glass of Dom Perignon. This is the creme de la creme of champagnes. And I got to tell you, I drank it. And it was gross. I don't get it. I've had $10, $12 bottles of champagne that were better than Dom Perignon. I don't get it. Okay. However, even though I'm not spending $170 on a bottle of Dom Perignon, some people will, which makes the Dom Perignon worth $170, right? Because if nobody was buying it, the price comes down. It's the same with NFL or with college athletes. Somewhere out there, as Fievel would say, somewhere out there is an alum.
I was hoping
That's a hell of a reference, right?
I was hoping you realized what you just did. So yeah, okay.
I know what I did. Fievel Goes West, baby. That's a formative Rob Brown flick. Somewhere out there is an alum that's sitting on a few $100,000 bazillion million trillion dollars that went, I'd really like that guy to play here at Michigan. I'll fork over. I mean, if I got to put $10.5 million in the pot, so be it. I'll put $10.5 million down to make that happen. Do you know what that makes Bryce Underwood? Worth $10.5 million. Now, much like Ferraris and Lamborghinis, you know what else it does? It prices him out of a lot of other schools. It prices him out of a lot of other programs that can't come off $10.5 million. The only thing I've ever said here, because I will keep it a buck with you. Even I looked at that and I'm like, how do schools compete, right? Now, first off, it's kind of always been this way. It's just that it used to be under the table. The only thing I've said here is if you want to make an argument for what is effectively a salary cap, if you want to make an argument for schools should only be allowed to organize X million dollars to send to athletes, if you want to make an argument that schools should only be allowed to pay $5, $10, $15, $20 million in total NIL compensation to their entire roster, I'm totally fine with that. I am totally fine with setting rules that are reasonable, but, and I've said this as well, because of the fact that you did not do this at the beginning of the NIL period, the next step you have to do is if you are going to set down those guidelines, because I've heard the argument, oh, you gotta have a salary cap. I fine by me. I'm good with that. But much like the NFL and the MLB and all these other organizations that have salary caps do, you have got to sit down with the players. You have got to sit down with the players and allow them to have a voice in the discussion of what that cap is going to be. You can't just arbitrarily say, $1 million, that's our cap. That's the same as saying no NIL at all. And considering the NCAA effectively has a monopoly on college football right now, you're not protected from doing that, right? That's why there is a players union at the NFL. Now, you can even go so far as to say you can set it up. Freshmen don't get a voice at the table, right? Incoming freshmen don't get a voice. We're going to let sophomore, juniors, and seniors represent college football players and sit down and have a voice and come to an agreement about all right, we're only going to allow a team to put out $25 million a year in total NIL to the entire roster. But we're also going to allow them to do this, and this for compensation to players. And allow the college football players to, we've talked about this before. A lot of people, what I'm saying here is, don't attack the players. Don't attack the players. I said this on BetMGM tonight the other day. I don't know what my value is to I know what my value is to this company, but for the sake of the conversation, I don't know what my value is to this company. But if the boss came to me tomorrow and said, Rob Brown, we'd like to pay you $2 million a year to do this show, you think I'm saying no to that? You think I'm saying no to that? You think I'm going to look around and go, well, Lonzo only makes $1 million a year, and I'm not more important than him? So I'm going to say, no, of course I'm going to say yes to that. And I'll buy Alonzo something very nice for Christmas. All right?
Dude, if you're making 10 and I'm making 1, you don't need to buy me nothing. I'm good.
Correct, but you get the point. In my heart of hearts, I'd be like, am I more important than that, right? Some of you going, is Bryce Underwood really $10.5 million worth important? There's going to be guys in that locker room that are just as important to the team that aren't making that. Yeah, of course there are. But somebody somewhere decided Bryce Underwood's worth $10.5 million. Don't get mad at Bryce Underwood for that. Don't get mad at Bryce Underwood for that. Get mad at the NCAA. Get mad at the system itself that set this up, that allowed him to accept that money, not him for taking it. You want to be mad? I'm fine with being mad. But be mad at the system. Change the system. Push the system. Push the NCAA to be changed. Don't go on Twitter and cuss out Bryce Underwood because somebody offered him $10.5 million. I got to tell you right now, I'd sign it too. Y'all, I can't stand the Atlanta Falcons, but if they signed me to a $2 million contract to come be the voice of the Falcons, I'd wear red and black every day of my life for it.
We already had a guy transfer to Michigan. You don't want to follow him.
$10 million, Alonzo? I'll tell you how much I love football in the snow.
Wow.
There's a word.
We now know the price.
Everybody's got a price at the $1 Million Man. Chris Miller, the voice of the pregame and postgame show for your South Carolina Gamecocks, joins us next to talk about the Missouri. The Missouri.
We're going to go watch the Missoui's play. Missouri.
Talk about the win over the Missouri Tigers last week, the game against Wofford, and maybe even a little way too far in advance Clemson preview, all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Let's go ahead and bring Chris Miller. There's no such thing as too much talking to Chris. What's up, big fella?
What's up, guys? How are y'all?
Good, buddy. Good. You got the driving the school bus today?
It's fun. My son's got his fun run at school, so he's excited about it. So I'm gonna go over there and watch that for a little bit. And
nice.
When you're 9 years old, that's a big deal. So it's 33 degrees and they're running in a fun run. So okay, that's exciting. Hey, did y'all have y'all seen on Twitter the call when Rocket scored that Todd Ellis made and Tommy Suggs?
I did.
So
I did. I was dying laughing.
It's so funny story. The way we sit in the booth is Tommy's on the far left, and there's Todd, then there's our stats guy's name's Doug, and then there's me. And I'm a very animated broadcaster. When I call play-by-play in the booth, when exciting things happen, I jump up, and I'm one of those weirdos that do that. And so is Todd.
Sure. Yeah, you can hear it.
So is Rob for sure.
So when they scored, when Rocket scored, Todd and I both jump up out of our seats, and Todd kind of did I don't know if he was trying to do a chest bump or what, like mid-call. And so we kind of smashed Doug between us. Then all of a sudden Tommy yells, "Whoa!" And so what you don't see it on the call, you just kind of hear it because obviously it's radio, but all this stuff was going on and all this chaos. And it's the one time, normally they have an in-booth view, but that person was sick and unbeknownst, nobody knew to come set that up. And it's the one time you want that for what they have a Gamecocks Plus. They always have a link in there and they didn't have it. So it's oh man. But yet Tommy says, he says, "Hell no, we just scored."
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome. That was awesome.
I was talking with Courtney about it. She's a Gamecock fan, obviously, and she's a big Todd Ellis guy. And I've said before, and I say this with all due respect.
By the way,
in the world.
I like Todd.
I do too.
Yeah, I've listened to him for years.
I have said for years. And I say this, and I mean this as completely respectfully as I can mean it, because it sounds bad. I don't mean it that way. Todd's not a guy that's dialing into the football lingo, like giving you the schemes and analysis. He's just a dude who loves football and has a great call because it's just gas start to finish. And as somebody who is accused of that all the time, I'm a big fan of it. That dude is just adrenaline with a microphone when the Gamecocks are driving, and there is such a unique sound to his game that he is one of a very small number of play-by-play guys, Chris, that I will take the time to sync up the radio call to my TV to listen to that instead of whatever the call on the TV is.
And I will tell you this. he's not a professional broadcaster, but the preparation that he puts, I mean,
I believe it.
The guy's an attorney, obviously has a full-time job. He has his own law firm and stuff, but if you see the notes that he has and the detail that he has, you have a whole lot more added respect for what he does, because it's obviously he had that opportunity because he's a Hall of Fame quarterback at school, but he has become a true broadcaster and does a fantastic job.
You will hear the dulcet, seductive tones of our next guest if you turn in to the South Carolina Gamecocks pregame and postgame show, because he is not only a 137-time winner of the South Carolina Broadcasters Association Sportscaster of the Year award, he's also the host of the pre- the postgame show for the South Carolina Gamecocks. He is a good buddy on and off the air, just a good dude overall, and I'm proud to say I know him. My man, Chris Miller, joining us here on the show. What's up, big fella?
Morning, guys. Good morning. It's a football Friday, then a football Saturday. It's my favorite time of the year. It's like Christmas for me.
It's like Thanksgiving for all of us. I don't want to jump the gun and jump into the Clemson stuff just yet, Chris, because we are still a week out. There is still a Wofford Terrier team waiting out there. So let's take these things one at a time. 88 in the DeLorean, back to last Saturday. Third consecutive win for the Gamecocks over a top 25 team. First time in school history that they've strung 3 ranked wins together back to back to back. 30,000-foot view, Chris Miller. What are the 2 or 3 things you think that were the most important in that win over Mizzou before we dial into the X's and O's?
I think when you look at what they had done the last 3 SEC games, which were all 3 wins by 21 or more points, many Gamecock fans and, frankly, the national outlook on it was South Carolina win this game going away. Remember, we were talking last week, they were 14-point favorites going into the game. South Carolina had the big lead. They jumped out to a large lead, and then here comes Missouri. And if you're a Gamecock fan, you're saying, here we go. Eli Drinkwitz had beaten the Gamecocks 5 consecutive times, was 5-0. And they go down the field and score to take that 30-27 lead with 1:15 left in the game. He just torched your defense, which, again, has been your bell cow the entire season. And I think everyone in that stadium was just frustrated. And here we go. We're going to find a way to lose to Missouri. All the great we've done this year. And here we're going to lose to a Missouri team who most people thought was extremely overrated. But I think Lenore Sellers showed not just South Carolina fans, not just the SEC, but the nation, that he is a serious, legitimate SEC top-tier quarterback with that drive at the end of the game. 57 seconds, marching right down the field with his arm. This was not Lenore Sellers breaking off a big run. This was Lenore Sellers going through his read. I thought the throw to Delvion Campbell was one of the best plays by a South Carolina quarterback in years. Not that the throw was anything incredible, but how he went through his reads. Campbell was his 3rd choice on that play, and he allowed the route to develop. He stepped up in the pocket, moved around, didn't take off running, and Campbell was loose and able to get 40 yards of yak after that catch. That, to me, everyone's going to point to Rocket Sanders' play. That was fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But that throw to Campbell changed the dynamic. I think before that throw, South Carolina was thinking, can we get it down for an Alex Rare field goal attempt? But once you got that throw to Campbell, which ended up being a 40-yard gain, now you're thinking, okay, we're going to win this football game. The heck with kicking the field goal. Let's go for the win. So I think that singular play, to me, was the maturation of Lenore Sellers because of the throw, because of the reads, and because he didn't take off running.
The development of Lenore Sellers, we've talked quite a bit about it, and I said this earlier on the show, Chris Miller. I owe Del Oggins and Shane Beamer flowers in apology because dating back to the Ole Miss game, I on these airwaves said multiple times, I don't see the development. And I see the physical tools. I see the guys got it in them. I just don't see that development yet. And that has, since that Ole Miss game, it feels like has been exponential growth out of this young guy. Here's the question, though, with that angle. Do you think that the complaints about Dow Loggins' offense and the play calling, which were there from the public, whether you agree with them or not, were being made at the beginning of the year. Have we seen a difference because of the development of Lenore Sellers? Do those two things go hand in hand, or has there been something else? Or do you think the play calling has changed at all? Or are we just seeing better execution now? Where do you kind of land on that spectrum?
I think yes to all the above. I think one of the key things that's happened is Mike Shula. Mike Shula was hired by the Gamecocks coaching staff to be a special assistant, and he has played a huge role in the development of Lenore Sellers. This is a guy that's a former NFL offensive coordinator, as is Dow Loggins, and I think the two of them have worked together. Also, you got to keep in mind, in that game against Ole Miss, Lenore Sellers, and that they were still hurt. Sellers got injured against LSU. Keep in mind, against Old Dominion, that was his first start, struggled a little bit in that. He played well on the road at Kentucky, and he played extremely well in that first half against LSU. He gets hurt right before the end of the first half, struggles in that loss struggled the next few games, and then finally he gets healthy. And during that time, he was taking those mental reps. And I think when you have a chance to sit back and watch as a quarterback, you can really see where you can grow. And he did that. But I credit Dow Loggins again to making the correct calls with your talent on hand. And a lot of credit goes to Mike Shula. It's not being talked about, but he's been behind the scenes working. You can actually, there is some footage that the SEC Network put out of Coach Shane Beamer was mic'd up. And you can hear him on that last drive saying, Mike, tell him to hold on to the football. And Beamer is telling Mike Shula to remind who's getting the signals in to Lenore Sellers, just that reminder, hey, we're in a field goal range. Don't do anything silly. Don't make a mistake. Don't force it. We got the field goal in our pocket. We want to go for the win, but just that reminder. So I think Mike Shula, that just shows you evidence Mike Shula is playing a big role in that development of Lenore Sellers.
Chris Mittler joining us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate, talking a little bit more about that South Carolina win 34-30 over the Missouri Tigers last Saturday. You talked about this. We talked about this. It has kind of been a phrase that's been utilized quite a bit this year around the Gamecocks, and that's the concept of finishing, closing, winning, coming up in these spots like LSU, like Alabama, but finding a way to be the team that shuts the door and not have the door shut on you. And it felt, I mean, we talk about the touchdown from Rocket Sanders, which, by the way, because Sellers is a threat to the outside, that shuttle pass, French kiss as far as play calling in that moment at that point in time, Chris Miller. The fact was, there was a whole drive that led up to that touchdown that I thought was masterfully orchestrated and executed. We talked last week going into that game about how weird is this, that this is the first time in as long as I can remember that the South Carolina Gamecocks go in expecting to beat a ranked team. That was the first time this year with the game on the line in a clutch drive that I went, I think they can do this. I think they got this. That, to me, Chris Miller, is the ultimate tip of the cap to the evolution of this football team this year.
It is. And you go back to that drive, not only, again, I mentioned Campbell, but how about Brady Hunt, right? Backup tight end. If you remember the beginning of that drive, Lenore Sellers is chased out of the pocket, plays Superman, goes out, runs backwards, breaks a tackle. Then Brady Hunt, the backup tight end, comes back to his quarterback and makes a catch. Not only does he get the catch, but he dives and gets the first down, and that jump starts the drive. Because how many times have you seen in football a drive that dies immediately because you lose 15 yards in the first play because of a hold, a sack, something like that, and the drive's over? But that first down jump start, because the next play, he hits Delvin Campbell for the 40-yard gain where South Carolina suddenly says, okay, we can win this football game. And again, those plays, 3 magical plays on that drive, the Hunt catch, the Campbell catch and run. Then you had the Rocket Sanders touchdown, and Rocket would not be denied. I mean, that guy broke, we counted 6 tackles on that 10-yard. Once he got the ball, he got hit at the 10. He was knocking tacklers off, pushing them away like bowling pins. And then I'm sure you guys saw this on social media. Actually, there were people on their phone that were getting earthquake alerts in the stadium because they were saying earthquake, duck and cover, seek shelter. I mean, that was legitimately happening in the stadium because it was shaking that much. And I sit up there in the booth and I'm like, my cup. So it's like it was doing that. The press box was shaking that bad on that play. I mean, there's an old saying, if it ain't swaying, we ain't playing. And that was legitimately happening at Williams-Brice.
We talked after the Texas A&M game, Chris Miller, about, the recruits that were in the building that night. And it wasn't just that you won. And it wasn't just that you decisively won. It was the atmosphere that the decisive win took place in. I told you, I was very happy that night because YouTube TV was carrying a commercial-free stream. They didn't have commercials on there. So whenever there was a break, they'd go to an up top of the stadium cam, and you got to see the light show and hear the sound and all that. And there was no, please welcome to the north end zone, the CEO of that local bank. It was like, oh, we're at break? Club Willie B's popping up in here tonight. And I'm like, as a recruit, that's the kind of stuff I'm into. But then you turn around, you put that win together. You do it in a late afternoon game. So you show, hey, we don't need that. We'll take the lights in Club Willie B, but we don't need it. And then you add that electricity, that atmosphere, and the fact that there were, and I know this is happening because I saw on Twitter that there were seismological warnings happening around Columbia, South Carolina. Chris Miller, these are the kind of things that if there's a recruit in that building watching that game, they're looking around going, hey, damn, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I think I could see myself fitting in real well here. There's a recruiting bump coming for the South Carolina Gamecocks. There already was one because Shane Beamer's a wonderful culture builder. But these are the games that win you games 2-3 years from now because the players are going, yeah, I want to be a part of that.
And it keeps the players here. We live in an NIL world where it's who has the most money, but we're getting to where the majority of these teams are getting kind of close. South Carolina had been behind in the NIL landscape, but has since caught up and can now compete with Georgia, Alabama, insert whoever you want in here. So now it comes down to, as you said, if I'm a recruit, what am I truly making a decision on? The money's pretty much equal. I'm making a decision on coaches and atmosphere. And if I'm a recruit, let's say a Dylan Stewart, let's say a Lenore Sellers, some of that recruit, but a player that is on your roster who's, let's face it now, in today's world, it's constant recruiting. You're playing teams that are recruiting your own players. You're recruiting your own players each year. So do I really want to leave this atmosphere? Do I really want to go play for another coach and restart? No. South Carolina can compete in those worlds. So, I mean, you look at where South Carolina is, and let's take this state. If I'm a recruit, and this is a big question I ask, and I ask this not with my Gamecock glasses on, but just general. Would I rather play today for Clemson or South Carolina? Everything else being equal. I think 2 years ago, that was an easy question, easy answer. Tigers. I don't know if many recruits can say that anymore. I don't know if they can say because South Carolina now is showing they can compete nationally. They are going out, as you said, they beat 3 consecutive nationally ranked teams. They're number 18 in the latest college football playoff. This is a team that is in the national championship conversation. Are they going to make the playoffs? Probably not. But people are talking about them. People are saying they may. And you've got your quarterback. That's the big thing, too. You got a quarterback that's only a sophomore next season that could potentially take you to that promised land. Something the Gamecocks have never had in their existence. A quarterback the caliber of Lenore Sellers as a freshman.
Chris Miller, host the Gamecock pre- and post-game show, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Look, I could do this with Chris Miller for another damn hour. That's the juice that's happening right now. But my man's got a fun run to go at 10. Are you running? Are you showing up the boy? Are you letting him know Pops has still got it? Or are you going to let him kind of sow the oats a little bit today?
It's his day to sow the oats. He's going to get out and get some running done, and I'll be there to cheer him on. It's like 35 degrees, so I'm going to have to pack my parka.
I dig that. You got to give him 3-4 more years, then you got to go put 21 on him on a basketball court and remind him who's who, right?
Yeah, we do that on the baseball field. When he gets kind of cocky with the baseball bat, I'll line up and say, I used to be a pretty good pitcher myself, son. Slow it down, Dad.
Chris Miller.
Hit it. Just hit the gas.
Kind enough to join us to talk Gamecock football on Fridays. I did just get a text. 20-second answer, because I know the answer, you know the answer, but I'll address it because the listener asked. Texter said, hypothetically, if Brent Venables at OU gets canned, would Beamer jump ship and head back to OU?
I don't think so. I don't think Oklahoma has I mean, he liked his time there, but again, he was there for a couple of years. I really think the culture he's built at South Carolina, I don't know. Now, 2 years ago, maybe. And then, there was a lot of talk when that job opened. Beamer just completed his first year at South Carolina. He was a candidate. He never really had an interest in going back. I think he knows what he's got building at South Carolina. It would take a huge job, and I don't even know if he would leave it for that there because he's got a young family and they really like Columbia.
And on top of that, they let him build the whole thing in his image. I don't know if OU does. Chris Miller joins us to talk Carolina football on Fridays, my man. Thank you again, big dog. We'll talk to you. We'll figure out what we're doing next week because it's rivalry weekend, my man.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait.
Chris Miller, an absolute icon and a legend. So's Lonzo. Time for a sports flash.
Yep, I am legendary. The Cleveland Browns ended the 6-game win streak of the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. With a 24-19 win, Cleveland allowed a Pittsburgh touchdown late, but answered within the final minute to take the lead and prevented a Hail Mary touchdown at the buzzer, all in glorious snow. Jameis Winston had 219 yards and a rushing touchdown, and Nick Chubb ran for 2 in the win. Pittsburgh is now 8-3, while Cleveland is 3-8. The number one recruit in college football, quarterback Bryce Underwood, flipped his commitment from LSU to Michigan last night. The 6'4", 210-pound pocket passer has reportedly been offered an NIL deal worth over $10 million for 4 years. Tune in tomorrow at 1:30 as Furman Paladins take on the Mercer Bears. It's Furman versus Mercer right here, the last game of the season for the Furman football team on the Fan Upstate. Wow. What time is Rashad?
9 o'clock straight up.
Okay. Creed is still hanging on, by the way.
Okay, I'll come straight to him.
We're seeing the world. I put in like 4 hours of a program and find out that I was off by a minute on one of them. So I have to go in and edit a minute out of it.
Oof.
Just trying to get ahead of all the stuff I got to get done. The Chris conversation yesterday really put me
Push behind the 8 ball.
Yes.
It was an important one to have.
I guess.
Man, check this out. Coming up in this hour of the radio broadcast, we have got a lot to get to. Working on our guys Kevin and John. See when we can get them in either 8:40 or 9:20. Rashad Beard at 9 o'clock. That's all coming up. I got your audio blitz here in just a minute to get to. But my man Creed has been hanging on, kind enough to hang on all the way through the break to chat some Carolina Panther football. They got the Kansas City Chiefs, the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champs coming to the bank this weekend. Creed, welcome back to the show, big dog. Good to have you.
Hey, man. Well, after hearing that segment, now I had one thing. Now I want to do both things. Which one am I more of a dream of? And, boy, you're gonna hold your breath on one of them. But one of them is that Mississippi and Alabama lose this weekend, which would be tough but not impossible. And South Carolina, Clemson becomes a play and win in your end game. Or, and this here will blow you away, Carolina is that good. They get Adam Thielen back. The Panthers are that good. And Atlanta does not look good. Their schedule's ridiculous. What happens when the Panthers come out and win the division at 8-9?
Oh, man, Creed.
Which one am I dreaming more about?
Yes, both. See all of the above.
Gamecocks.
I hate to be that guy.
The NFC South is that bad. Carolina could, but they'd have to win this weekend.
8-9 would do it. 8-9 would do it.
8-9 might do it. I think there are still some wild cards out there. I do think the Buccaneers are still very much a wild card team. Honestly, man, like I'm not trying to be a homer here, but I don't know if Darren Rizzi's Saints are a joke or not, right? Like they are 2-0. They beat the Browns. The Browns turn around and beat the Steelers the next week. They just knocked off the Falcons. Are the Falcons bad, or did the Saints show that they're going to be a different team? I told you the whole problem with New Orleans was Dennis Allen. And Creed, I know ball. I called that shot from the beginning. They fire the guy. They go 2-0. I don't know. I think the Panthers winning the division is more realistic than the Gamecocks winning or making the college football playoff. And that's not a shot at the Gamecocks because, again, I've called them. They might be the hottest team in college football right now. The problem is you got 5 champs that you know are going in, so you got 7 at-large spots that you get to fill in, right? You're going to have probably 3 teams out of the Big Ten. You're probably going to have either 4 or 5 teams out of the SEC. There's probably 3 spots at the bottom of the 12 that they could go in. And the unfortunate part for you is you've got SMU with 1 loss. You've got BYU with 1 loss. You've got A&M ahead of you. Even though you beat them, they're still ranked up 3 spots, or what is it? Yeah, 3 spots ahead of you right now. You need them to lose to Texas to win the SEC. Like, I just unfortunately don't think that there is room for a 3-loss team. I've already said a couple times on the show, and I'll say it one more time, Creed. I think South Carolina Gamecocks are the biggest what-if team out there, because what if they beat LSU? They're in the playoffs. What if they pull the upset against Alabama? I think they're in the playoffs. The schedule they had, a 2-loss Gamecock team's in the playoffs. I just don't think there's room for a 3-loss team.
Well, I'm going to go with your own logic there. If you're telling me there will definitely be 4 SEC teams, if Mississippi and Alabama both lose, South Carolina becomes that 4th team.
Possible, but where's Alabama lose? Because I don't say
this week Oklahoma. It's Oklahoma's Super Bowl.
I mean, it is, dude, but Oklahoma's just not that good, right? Like, and I'm not saying Alabama's great. They lost to Vandy, but since they lost to Vandy, they did drop the 1 to Tennessee. That's a good program. They put 34 on the same Missouri Tigers that South Carolina went to the line against. They basically ended Brian Kelly at LSU. And yeah, it was Mercer. They put 52 on the board. Alabama's going to Oklahoma, and let me pull up the line just because I'm curious. I think they're like a 2-score.
Yeah, 13.5. And it's not Alabama. It's Oklahoma. This is a top 10 team start of the year. The talent is there. They just have been a bad team.
Yeah.
And a bad team with talent can give a one-time Super Bowl appearance. They can do it. That's why I'm saying this is their weekend to have that talent show up. I'm just saying they're possible. I like their possibilities.
I'm not saying impossible, Creed. I'm saying like win the Powerball odds, right? Like not impossible. It happens all the time, but it's just very, very rare because even if we say, all right, let's take the 2-loss SEC teams and say only 2 of them get in. Let's say Georgia and Tennessee get in as 2-loss teams. Well, even if Indiana loses to Ohio State, they're still in. Ohio State's in. Oregon's in. Texas is in. Notre Dame, provided they don't lose to Army. And even if they do, that is a top 20 loss if they lose to Army. You have the loss, the blowout loss to Ole Miss that I think kind of dings you up a little bit. Notre Dame will go in ahead of you. Because the other problem that you have to keep in consideration here, Creed, is that the College Football Playoff Committee, in my opinion, they value brand power. They value how many eyeballs they're bringing to the TV. And while South Carolina does have the SEC brand power going for it, South Carolina does not have the brand power that Notre Dame does. So if everything is equal and those two teams are bidding for spot number 12, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you Notre Dame's going to get it, even with the worst loss of any playoff team to Northern Illinois.
Yeah, I understand. Hey, I understand. I think this is Mississippi. I really believe Mississippi will do it not Mississippi. I'm sorry. I think the Oklahoma will do it this weekend, and I think at least make for more interesting conversation next week.
Look, as somebody who is all about Team Chaos, and Creed, I appreciate it, big dog. Good to have you back on the show. As somebody who is all about Team Chaos in college football, yeah, why the hell not? Let's let Alabama go down to Oklahoma. DJ Lagway at Florida, all of a sudden that team feels like a different team. That team's won 3 in a row, including one over Oklahoma. On the road at Arkansas, where they put up 63 points. Excuse me, I'm talking about Ole Miss. This Florida team under DJ Lagway has felt like a different squad. They are 5-5, and they do. But look at their losses. Right? They lost to a top 10 team in Miami. They lost to a top 15 team in Texas A&M. They lost to a top 10 team in Tennessee, a top 10 team in Georgia, and a top 10 team to Texas. Now, the mark of a good team, as the old cliche goes, the mark of a good team is you win all the games you're supposed to and half the games you're not, right? That's my old middle school coach, Tom Grant, said that once. The mark of a good team is you win all the games you're supposed to and half the games you're not. Well, they've won all the games they're supposed to. They beat Samford. They beat Mississippi State. They beat UCF. They beat Kentucky. And they beat LSU. And I will say, and keep in mind, they ended LSU. They and Alabama ended LSU. But they didn't win any of the games. Not one of the games that they weren't supposed to win. They lost all of them. However, under DJ Lagway, Billy Napier got himself another year on the job. There were a lot of Florida fans that were calling for the head of Billy Napier because they felt like they had an opportunity, right? Like Miami's a good football team, but very few of us believe that Miami is national championship material. Florida State is having arguably the worst year in the history of college football, any team, any conference, any division, any year. Arguably the worst year in college football history. The window's open, but it won't stay open for very long. And if that is the case, Florida had to take advantage now. So a lot of Florida fans were calling for the head of Billy Napier. But under DJ Lagway, when he's been healthy, remember, he was not fully healthy for the last couple of games before they drummed LSU. It's a different team. So Florida Ole Miss, I think, has the potential to be a very interesting competition this Saturday. Oklahoma, Alabama. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm picking Alabama, and I'm picking Alabama to cover. That team looks dramatically better than they did a couple of weeks ago. So ultimately, altogether, what I'm saying here is, yeah, there's a chance that 2 or 3 of these 2-loss SEC teams get loss number 3, and now we got a gaggle of teams all hanging around at, 9-3 when the season's over. I don't think Georgia's one of them. Georgia Tech fought for their lives against NC State, did win, got out performance, but I don't think they've got the horses to beat Georgia. So I'm not saying there's zero chance for South Carolina to fight their way in. I'm saying it's a Powerball chance. It's a lottery chance. Like it's a 1 in a million chance. And you would need a ton of help because Oregon can lose 1, probably 2 games and still go. They won't. At most, they're losing the Big Ten championship, in which case they are an at-large team. Ohio State is going. Whether they participate in and lose the Big Ten title or a title game, or they don't make it at all. Even if Ohio State loses to Indiana this weekend, they finish 10-2. They do not go to the Big Ten championship game. They're still going because their 2 losses are to 2 of the top 5 teams in America, and the brand power of the horse chestnuts is too big not to have in.
So this would be a Lane Kiffin situation, actually. So if they were to lose to Indiana, they're not going to play for the Big Ten title. As long as they beat Michigan, they're a 2-loss team.
And you're in.
Yep,
that's exactly correct. You lose to Indiana, this team's finishing 10-2 because I don't see Michigan beating them no matter what. And if one of 2 things happens, you're 10-2 and you're in the playoffs, or you're 9-3, you're not in the playoffs, and Ryan Day's out of a job.
Let's go ahead and take care of Indiana and Michigan, though, so we don't have to worry about that scenario. And then beat Oregon and win the Big Ten.
Look, to me,
then go all the way and win the national championship. It can happen.
Sure. Again, as you have pointed out a number of times, I'm looking down the list: Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Alabama, Miami, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, and Boise State. That's 1 through 12. The only team out of that group I would say cannot win the national championship is Boise State.
Right?
Like that's the only team I'd have. And for the record, I'd give them a shot because Ashton Janty can run on any defense. Now, Boise State would have to win 4 playoff games and they'd all be like 52-49 finals, right? Like they're going over every game they play in if they got a shot. But there's of those 12 teams, and that's not going to be your playoff 12, obviously, because you've still got conference championship games that could bump people out, whatever. But my thought here, Creed, to finish the thought on your
real
thought.
Real quick, the scenario that Ohio State's in, so is Indiana. So if Indiana loses to Ohio State and then they win out, they've only had 1 loss, and it was to Ohio State.
I don't know if I agree with Indiana. And I don't know if I agree with Indiana for one reason.
So Indiana and Penn State both end up with 1 losses. Either one of them making it?
Penn State will. Because they would have the same loss. The problem you have with the Indiana Hoosiers, they played 7 of the 8 worst teams in the Big Ten. Their schedule is, I think, of all the teams that are competitive, if there is a team that is getting bounced with a loss because their schedule is bad, it is Indiana. This is why I've said time and time again, I wish I had the public relations machine that the Big Ten does. I do. Because half the country is convinced that the Big Ten is somewhere in the realm of SEC competition. It's just not. Well,
we're going to find out because there's going to be quite a few Big Ten teams and quite a few SEC teams probably in the playoff.
I don't know if there's quite a few Big Ten teams. Honestly,
We'll see.
I don't know that there is.
How many? Well, a few would have to be 3. So there's going to be 3. Right?
The absolute maximum the Big Ten can get in is 4. That's the absolute maximum. I think realistically is 3 because I think Indiana with the loss is not going.
So the max 4 will be Ohio State, Oregon,
Indiana, Oregon, and Penn State.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. After those 4, who else in that conference is even kind of competitive? Nobody.
I agree.
Nobody else.
I agree.
Right? It is the most top-heavy conference in football, and that includes the Southeastern Conference. I think the Big Ten's probably getting in 3. If Indiana beats Ohio State, I think you get in 4. I think Ohio State gets in on brand power. Indiana would get in because they go to – Indiana can have a loss provided that loss is in the Big Ten championship. If they have 2 losses or they have 1 loss and it's not in the Big Ten championship, I don't think Indiana's going. I think they will drop them down behind a number of 2-loss SEC teams and potentially a 1-loss ACC team. but we'll find out. That and when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about like if the ACC at max is getting in 2, and I'll be honest, I think they're getting in 1. I think the ACC is getting their conference champion. I don't think they're getting a second. Notre Dame will get in if they win out without a conference championship game. Notre Dame will get in on strength of schedule and brand power. I absolutely think brand power is a college football playoff qualifier. I think they will get in on brand power, and this is to circle back to what Creed was saying. I just don't think there's enough spots for a 3-loss team. I think the committee will happily sacrifice a 3-loss SEC team, provided they have their 4 or 5 SEC teams in. I think they will happily sacrifice a 4-loss SEC or a 3-loss SEC team so that they could go, see, we don't just stick SEC teams in over other teams. See, South Carolina got left out, right, with 3 losses. I just don't think there's room. You jump Texas A&M if Texas A&M loses to Texas. I think the worst possibility here for South Carolina would be if Texas A&M beats Texas. Because you're certainly not you're beating Texas as a 2-loss team, right? And by the way, can Texas take some heat? Texas's schedule has been about as weak as anybody else's that's in that kind of middle range. Colorado State, a bad Michigan team, Texas San Antonio, Louisiana Monroe, a bad Mississippi State, a bad Oklahoma. They took the L to Georgia, the only good team they played. They skated by a top 25, Vandy, Florida, and Arkansas, right? Like not a great schedule for Texas. Doesn't matter. Texas also has both the brand power of the SEC and the Longhorn. So I just don't think there's room for you, Creed. Respectfully, I just don't think there's room for a 3-loss team. That is why I've said I think South Carolina is the biggest what-if team in college football. What if South Carolina had beat LSU? They're in the playoffs. Assuming they beat Clemson. What if South Carolina had beat Alabama? They're in the playoffs. And not only are they in the playoffs, they're in the playoffs and Alabama's not if South Carolina beats them. They take Alabama's spot if they beat them. But you didn't. What if South Carolina didn't get dog-walked and would have beat Ole Miss? They're in the playoffs with those 2 losses. So that's going to be one of those we missed an opportunity and we know it moments for a very long time for the Gamecocks. 1 fewer loss, you're in the playoffs. I genuinely believe that. Is there a path as it is set right now for this team to get in? I am going to say respectfully, no. I don't see the path for you to get in now, unfortunately, not with 3 losses. All right, we'll talk some more college football. I got your audio blitz coming up. We got Kevin and John joining us later on in the program. When I hear from the time that the time that works best, I will let you know. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast will join us at 9 o'clock on the dot to talk Panther footy. All that more coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. So you're saying there's a chance? He must work out. All right, give me just a second, guys. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Yes, James, that's how it works. Even if you're dead last in the conference, you get to claim a share of the title if your team wins, if your conference wins it.
I mean, yeah, no, you're not at Ohio State, but you get to play them once a year. So come to our team. You get to prove to them why they should have recruited you. Go Purdue.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Welcome to the Ingalls Table, a delicious destination with recipes galore. Need to whip up a dessert, entree, side dish? No problem. The experts from the Ingalls Table take you through it step by step, with expert tips and advice along the way. Find the Ingalls Table at ingalls-markets.com or swing by the store and pick up your free copy of the Ingalls Table magazine. And let's get cooking. Ingalls, low prices, love the savings.
It's R&R Tire Express's Season of Savings event. Get the tires you need to tackle all weather conditions and install for only $20. With new deals from performance to off-road for just $50. Pay them off with R&R's flexible payment options that fit your budget, all with no credit needed. Includes installation, rotate balance, flat repair, and roadside assistance of $300 value free. It's R&R's Season of Savings event with flexible payment options and no credit needed.
Bye.
Anderson, RNRTires.com.
This year, the Upstate Holiday Light Show is bigger and brighter than ever. Open Thanksgiving Day at District Park at the intersection of 123.
You ever got to do a Friday type commercial?
I don't think I have, actually.
I've made fun of it in like bits, but I've never actually got to do one.
Now through December 6th, with $500 off their most popular programs, get the lowest prices of the year on this incredible.
How does one get such a job?
Knows the secret to losing up to 1 pound of fat every day with no exercising, no prepackaged meals, no counting points or calories, no drugs, no injections or surgery. And you can start the program before, during, or after the holidays. No more losing weight and gaining it back. You will keep the weight off for good with this program. Go to mynewlifeweightloss.com for details. Hey, it's Rob Brown. Listen, I dropped over 50 pounds and a foot off of my waistline with New Life Weight Loss because they made the program easy. It was satisfying and fulfilling. So when I got to my goal weight, it was easy to stay on the program and stay at that goal weight. Many patients lose 20 to 30 pounds in about a month or two. That's half a pound to a pound per day. For your free consultation with a personal health coach in person or virtually, call 864-719-2550, 864-719-2550, or visit mynewlifeweightloss.com.
Order for Jennifer C. Is this the double shot, double cream, double pump, double sleeve? Can you handle that much caffeine? Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year? I'm cutting you off.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit.
Staples has amazing deals on everything you need for the holidays, from custom holiday cards and photo gifts to laptops and gaming systems, even shipping solutions. And right now at Staples, save up to $350 on select computers. In-store only offer ends 12/28. Unwrap huge holiday savings at Staples.
Your coworkers might annoy you, but we promise we won't. Download the free Odyssey app and you can listen to us at work while you tackle your inbox or get ready for another meeting that probably could have been an email. Tune in late, you can rewind your favorite live shows to catch what you missed. And with Chapters, easily jump to the topics that you care about most, like the latest updates from your team. Your sports talk, your way. The Odyssey app. Download it today.
Today, expect sunny skies with a high of 53.
Weather brought to you by Staples. Your local Staples store has hot deals at super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. Save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
Sponsored by SC Education Lottery. The Powerball jackpot for Saturday is $171 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education Lottery retailer and get your ticket today. See SCEducationLottery.com for jackpot odds and a store near you.
Furman closes out the 2024 football season on the road Saturday at Mercer.
and you can catch all the action on the Fan Upstate line by Dan Scott, inviting you to join Tom Van Hoy, David Cobb, and me as the Paladins go on the road to try and wreak havoc with Mercer's seeding hopes in the FCS playoffs.
Wreak havoc.
Will begin at 1:30.
Havoc will be wreaked.
Furman and Mercer, and you'll hear it all on the Fan Upstate.
Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and a jolt of sports on the Rob Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show continues. It's the Fan Upstate. A couple of texts you guys sent in. Text says Georgia is the best, most complete team top to bottom. Quarterback is an issue. Let me go find the back half of that text because I'm curious what the second half goes. And unfortunately, it got split up. Here it is. UG is the best, most complete team top to bottom. Quarterback is an issue, but that defense is so good, it may not matter. That's from Spartanburg J. First off, I agree. Carson Beck has had some spots where he has not looked like the guy that I was being sold is a number one overall draft pick candidate coming into next year. I'm not disagreeing with that. I am going to say, looked pretty good against Tennessee, didn't he? Looked pretty good against Tennessee, and that was effectively a playoff eliminator for Georgia. They lose that game, they are out of the running. So the fact that he not only won that game for him, but covered up the point spread in that game, I think there's something to be said for that. I do think Georgia is a very good football team. I do not think Georgia is the football team that they were during the back-to-back. I don't think Georgia is as good as Georgia was last year. I think Georgia is a national championship quality team. Absolutely. I don't think Georgia is the dominant team that they have been the last couple of years. I think Georgia's a playoff team. I think Georgia's got as good of an odds as anybody else to win the national championship game. Would I go ahead and lock them all the way up at the top of, my odds to win the whole thing? No, not at all. Not even a little bit. John Dog, Texas Show, said Notre Dame is a pretender, and it will show if they get into the playoffs. Notre Dame, 9-1. Their best win, Texas A&M. It maybe could have been considered Ville. But, of course, Louisville is taking a couple of bad lumps since then.
How many blowouts do we think we're going to see in the 12 team? Because usually in the 4 team, there's always that fourth team that didn't seem like they belonged, and a lot of times they got blowed out.
Sure.
For the most part, they did. So will there be multiples of those in the 12 team?
I think we got to see how it structures out first, right? Like I think we got to see what the bracket shapes up to be first, because I think there's potential, right? Like I don't know that I'm ready to say that Boise will get blown out if they go in, but here's the thing. Boise may catch a first round bye. If Boise wins out and wins the Mountain West and Colorado wins the Big 12, I think it's entirely possible that Boise State ends up with bid number 4 and therefore the first round bye as Mountain West Conference champs. And then my question is, Colorado as likely the 5 seed if they win the Big 12? Who does Colorado catch out of that 12 spot? Versus, does Colorado somehow jump Boise, become the 4 seed, get the bye, and then Boise sneaks in as the 12 seed as Mountain West champs? One of the things that, we've talked about brand power before. And I absolutely do think that brand power is a playoff qualifier, right? I believe that teams will not only get in or get left out. I think South Carolina's got a very different argument about getting in at number 3 if they've got the brand power that Bama or Georgia does, right? It might be a little bit more likely that they sneak in there in that spot. Am I guaranteeing that? No, but I think it's probably a more likely outcome. Do you think that the commission, the committee, the NCAA, the TV networks, everybody that's got a hand in this thing, What's more appealing to them? Great one. Colorado wins the Big 12, jumps Boise, and gets a first-round bye. And now Boise, depending on where they finish up, either Boise State host a first-round game, or you end up sending Boise at number 12. If let's say they get it at 5 or 6 and they host a first-round game, or they get in at number 12, 11, 12, they go on the road, and now I've got Boise State at Ohio State, the 5 seed, or Indiana, the 5 seed, or whoever it's going to be, Penn State, the 5 seed. Or is it more appealing to go ahead and let Boise State, who does get in as an 11-1 conference champion, the 5th highest ranked conference champion, let them in and go ahead and make them the 4 seed, make Colorado the 5 or 6 seed as the as the Big 12 champs. And now Lonzo Dion's got another home game. And if you think Deion Sanders ain't going to be selling tickets, and by selling tickets, I mean getting us to watch a Colorado playoff game in Boulder on the TV net, right? Like I wonder how much prospective television rankings are going to television ratings, pardon me. I wonder how much prospective television ratings will play a part of which teams catch first round buys and which teams get to host and which teams go on the road. I'm not going to say it's zero.
Will there be any West Coast games for these bowls?
If the schedule's ended today.
No, I mean, will they schedule that game if Colorado's in the playoff? Will they schedule it at West Coast time, or will it be in primetime East Coast?
Oh no, it's going to be primetime East Coast time. It's because it's just like every other. It's like NFL games. You're going to be playing that the last playoff bowl game of the first round where a team's hosting will kick off at 8:30 Eastern probably. Maybe you get like a 9:00 Eastern kick at latest.
So how much? I mean, the only advantage Colorado would have as a home team would be weather, right?
Weather and it being in the mountains, weather and altitude.
Okay.
Just like Denver, just like the Broncos, right? Like Broncos have
Is it elevated in Colorado?
Yeah. Yeah, Boulder's elevated. Denver's the Mile High City, baby.
I know Denver, but I didn't know about.
If you go do the Shefty in Denver, you're automatically in the Mile High Club.
Okay. I didn't know where the Buffaloes played, if it was elevated like where the Broncos plays is.
And the skies are not cloudy all day. Yes, Boulder is elevated. I don't know that it has. I don't know if it's the same altitude as the. What's the altitude of Boulder, Colorado?
University of Colorado, Boulder. Weather, altitude, and sun. Boulder is 5,430 feet or 1,655 meters above sea level.
1,655 meters.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So is it high enough to affect people's breathing?
Yes.
I mean, other than cold already does that. So you got the cold and the altitude.
Yes.
All right.
Without a doubt.
So this is going to affect.
I do not want to go to Boulder.
No. Who's this going to? If the playoffs were today.
Well, the playoffs were today.
Who would it affect if Colorado were in it?
If the playoffs were today, Colorado is the 5th high, assuming they win the Big 12, which is not a guarantee, but assuming they win the Big 12, which they are the odds-on favorite to do so, Colorado would be the 5th highest ranked conference champion. They actually, I don't think, because the fifth highest ranked conference champion does not just go to number 5. Right.
Well, I'm just curious if there's a shot that a warm weather team would have to go there.
I think that is going to depend on whether or not Colorado
It's not going to affect any of the Big 10.
I don't think they do.
Teams.
I don't think they do so here's what we're working with. You got Indiana and Ohio State. How far does Indiana drop if they lose to Ohio State? I think they're still in the top 12, but probably right at the tail end of it. If Colorado, so. I'm gonna say they stay ahead of Colorado. Notre Dame, I don't think is likely to lose again. They've got Army and USC. I like Army. I'm pulling for Army in this game, but I don't think they're losing to Army or USC. Could be wrong. They lost to Northern Illinois. Who the hell knows? They're a different team now. But I don't think they're losing. I'm looking at the teams that could drop behind Colorado. Alabama loses again. They go behind. All right, so I would say Colorado has a slim chance if they win the Big 12 of being spot number probably 7 or 8, which would give them a first-round host. And if everything else held true today, see, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way for them to host. I don't know if there's because if they win the Big 12 and they stay behind Boise, I think they probably end up somewhere 9, 10, 11, 12, which puts them on the road even as a Big 12 conference champ, which is in the formula.
But if they win their first game and they're a higher seed,
only the first round host.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
First round are hosted by the higher rated seeds. Everything after that goes to a bowl game, goes to a neutral site bowl game. So I don't know. Texture said, Rob, do you think Jerry's secret plan all along was to tank the Cowboys season, draft little Neon Dion, and hire Big Dion for next year? He has the money to make that happen. You know what? We can talk about that. We got to get your audio blitz. We got Rashad Beard at 9 o'clock. We got the Movin the Chains game coming up as well. And I'll keep going through your text when we come back on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
Blue hose. Blue hose, not blue hose. But I mean, it's kind of funny.
Do the Shefty.
The Panthers put a 2-game winning streak on the line against the Chiefs. Bryce Young, starting quarterback for Carolina. Adam Thielen listed as a limited participant at practice on Thursday. Meanwhile, rookie running back Jonathan Brooks, a full participant at Thursday's practice. Classic Rock 101.1 is your home for Carolina Panthers play-by-play all season long. Download the Odyssey app, search the Fan Upstate, and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders with the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute, upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell crash cam shows they've cleared out that wreck southbound 85 and Highway 290, and things are getting back to normal. There are a couple of spots along 85 where you'll slow a bit if there are no significant delays. Wade Hampton slows down at Wood River Way and at Edwards Mill Road. Downtown Greenwood, hot spot is North Academy and North Church. From the News Talk 98.9 WORD Traffic Center, I'm Bill Brooks on the Fan Upstate.
It's the last blast blowout sale for the Upstate Golf Card. For a limited time, grab yours for just $25 and get access to 7 premier courses in the Upstate. Grab your foursome and hit the courses with the Upstate Golf Card. $25 for a limited time only. UpstateGolfCard.com.
O'Reilly. If you've got questions, O'Reilly Auto Parts has answers. Need a pro you can trust? We've got that too. No matter what you need, our professional parts people have the training and expertise to help you do things right. Need automotive knowledge? Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people. O'Reilly Auto Parts.
This holiday season, Straight Talk Wireless is letting you say yes a lot more with real unlimited data. Yes to sharing pics of the ugliest holiday sweaters. Yes to checking weather on the go for surprise sledding trips. And with a free phone at sign up, let the yes-tivities begin.
No way!
Yes way. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart or straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 1/5/25 while supplies last at participating stores. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation on select single line plans. Limit 2 phones per customer. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. And turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have a full tank of gas first before you play chicken together.
I don't know that I want to believe it, but I do want to believe it. There's a rumor going around that the Spider-Man 4 working title is King in Black.
Yeah, I've seen that rumor. I don't know if I believe it or not either. I don't know who owns, if Sony still owns that or if Marvel owns it. It's just. It's supposed to happen, I think, between Secret Wars and so.
Got to take a look up and down your NFL and college football schedules for the weekend here in just a few minutes, but we have gotten a handful of texts that have come in. Texter said Spartanburg Jay is a delusional Clemson fan that thinks that Georgia is the most complete team because Georgia beat Clemson. That's from Cocky Cam in Boiling Springs. Cam, thanks for the text. And Spartanburg Jay,
getting it going a week early. Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Let's do that.
I'm here for it. Texas said, do you think Jerry's secret plan all along was to tank the Cowboys season, draft little Neon Dion, and hire big Neon Dion for next year? He has the money to make that happen. I got a couple of things to get to.
I said that weeks ago, by the way. And I do believe that.
There's a lot of people saying that. Now,
I said it first because I said it first.
People have been saying it for months.
Nah, that was me. It was me.
All right, so Lonzo started the rumor.
So it's not a rumor; it's speculation.
Years ago, back in like 2004, Lonzo was like one day.
No, it was last year when Colorado started to turn the corner a little bit. It's like, yeah, I think I see the writing on the wall.
When did they turn the corner last year?
You know when they did. That's when I saw the writing on the wall.
I mean, they turned a corner.
I saw the writing on the wall that said Cowboys. I saw it.
They turned a corner last year, but it was the wrong way. They went back. Anyway, I'm going to go with.
It's the Cowboy way, right?
I'm going to go
when
with.
You go back, that's what the Cowboys expect. That's how they play year after year after year. So why not pick a guy who already knows how to do that?
I'm going to go with no. Deion Sanders will not be the coach of the Cowboys. And there's two reasons why. Number one, and this is not to say that Deion Sanders ain't a guy who will go back on his word, because he already has. Remember when he was the coach at Jackson State, he was like, no, I'm here to elevate HBCUs. I'm here to increase the visibility and notoriety of HBCUs. I'm here to help HBCU football jump onto the national scale in a massively consequential way. And then he left, you'll remember. So you'll have to forgive me.
Well, he succeeded. He got a lot of attention there, so it was time to move on to something else, to elevate another team.
Yeah, except the problem is he was saying that he was staying to elevate HBCU football up until he left, right? There was no point where he came out and he goes, I've done all I can do for HBCU football. Like I've elevated. I'm done. I've accomplished. He was saying the year that he left, he was staying on board. So you will have to forgive me for a bit of skepticism about Deion saying, I'm staying in college. Because Deion said, I'm not going to the NFL. He's been straight up asked a number of times, are you going to the NFL? And Deion has said a number of times, no, my purpose is here. My purpose is to help young men become productive members of society. My purpose is to help young men build and own. And, I heard the phrase yesterday. He said, my purpose is to help young men become fathers, not baby daddies. That's a quote. I respect all of that, but you'll have to forgive me if there's a bit of skepticism about Deion saying these things. Now, I will say this. If Lonzo and the report that he started that Deion would go be a Cowboys does turn out to be correct, I think it's going to be an absolute disaster. And it's going to be an absolute disaster. I don't think there's any world that this goes well.
You thought that to a point about Colorado, and then he turned it around there. Here's the problem. Colorado,
when he showed up at Colorado, the president of Colorado said, blank check, do whatever you want. You think Jerry Jones is doing that? You think Jerry Jones, who has never done that, is suddenly, because it's Deion, going to go, I'm stepping back. I'm David Tepper in myself. I'm stepping back. I don't.
All right. Here, I am curious about this. So college players going to play for Deion, there's something there, having a chance to go play for Deion Sanders.
Yes.
It's a big deal. Does that translate in the NFL?
Probably not.
We don't know.
You are correct. You didn't ask me, will it? You asked, do you think?
No,
the answer is no. I don't think it can.
That was a statement more. I mean, we don't know. So I want to see.
We don't know, but as with everything else that we do here, you can take the evidence and reasoning, and you can come to a
he's been
belief.
Successful everywhere he's been.
He ain't been to the NFL. So did Chip Kelly and Steve Spurrier and Nick Saban and all these other guys.
But he has been in the NFL. He's one of the most successful NFL players. Yeah.
A lot of players have sucked as coaches, right? And again, I'm not saying Deion would or wouldn't. I say if I'm Jerry Jones, I don't know that I roll the dice and take the chance because yes, there is obviously a market difference. We had a whole segment yesterday about Shady McCoy under Chip Kelly, a wildly successful college coach who got to the NFL level, and it doesn't work that way. You don't get to go in and just be a dictator to NFL players and expect them to suddenly just subscribe to your methodology. You got to go win some titles at the NFL, and then guys are more apt to do it. But Jeff Kavanaugh is a host on The Fan in Dallas. Here's the take he had.
We're going to hold people accountable. There's one person accountable for this roster, and it's you. You did it on purpose. Stop pretending it has anything to do with anyone else. You conceited effing psychopath.
I thought you were going to rant.
It was always you.
It was always you.
Mike has not changed. Mike McCarthy has not changed. It's the exact same coach, the exact same quarterback. You lost 9 starters, and you replaced this many of them. That was you. You psycho. Stop pretending it was anyone else. Weirdo behavior.
No energy. I thought you weren't going to
no
rant.
energy. I didn't mean to. It's okay. I didn't mean to. No, it's okay.
It's okay.
And I want everybody to know that I say that
With all due respect.
With all due respect.
All due respect. He's talking about Jerry, obviously.
I just picked up a new thing.
All due respect.
When Rob is going, no, let him cook.
We've been dropping the let him cook. Here's the thing.
No, but I don't do that.
You know who started that?
Yeah.
I'm about to make you not do it. You know who started that? Russ Wilson.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
He did not.
He started the Let Russ Cook movement, and then the Let Him Cook took over after that.
Let Him Cook has been around since man started cooking food.
I'm not disagreeing, but Russ elevated it to what it is in the pop culture jingo today. Yes, he did.
He did not.
All right, whatever. Put that away. I'm not fighting over that because I want to stay dialed in here. Do you think that Jerry Jones, a man that has Dallas Cowboy fans sounding like that, calling him a total bleeping psychopath, all due respect, do you think that Deion, who very clearly is going to do everything Deion's way, is going to be able to thrive in a world where Jerry Jones has to do everything Jerry Jones' way? No, it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a disaster.
All right, so I do believe that he'd be willing to hire him, and I do believe that there's a good shot.
I didn't say hire him. I said succeed if he does.
If he gets hired, he'll be successful. Now,
based on what?
Because he's been successful everywhere he's been, and I know he hasn't been in the NFL. All I would say is let him cook.
Again, sure. Trust me, I'm all in for that because one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to have the character Deion Sanders that is going to be an NFL prolific character, which, okay, great, plenty of content for me, or you're going to have Jerry Jones, who has never let another person make a decision in his world, go up against Deion Sanders, who wants to make every decision. Who?
The first couple of years of Jimmy Johnson. He absolutely
then what
Jimmy
happened?
Johnson.
Then what happened?
Then he went against it.
And that was what year? 1992, 3, 8, whatever?
I don't know, when you were like 4 years old.
Correct. And it has been the way it is now for 30 years. And you think he's just going to be like, oh, my bad, I got it wrong. Deion, you take over.
So if he were to, and I still believe that there's a good shot he does, if he were to hire Deion and Deion comes in there and turns things around, Are we getting another Rob Brown apology?
Sure.
Okay. All right.
Sure. I think I've made it very clear.
I hope I'm alive for that.
Even just today, I don't know.
How much turnaround does it have to be before we get the apology?
I don't
just
know.
Make the playoffs?
I don't know why it is that people think being wrong and owning it is a bad thing. It's not. Never has been. Being wrong and owning it is good. More people should try it. It'll make you feel like a better person.
You should own it, but not throwing caveats. You're right, but I just want to point out that I was also right on this too. It's got to be like, I was wrong and that's it.
No,
nothing else.
That's not how
I was
life works.
wrong and nothing else.
I can point out that I was wrong about the coordinators in South Carolina while pointing out that, as I may have to do with Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders, if Deion shows up and Jerry Jones does what David Tepper has done this year, he's out of the limelight. When's the last time you heard from Tep, right? If Jerry does what Tep does, then I will come in here and go, I was wrong. Jerry Jones stopped doing a thing he's been doing since I was 5 years old. I was wrong. He did stop doing that thing. You have no reason to believe that he will. I had no reason to believe that he will, but he did. The coordinators at South Carolina, when I was pointing out leading up to the Ole Miss loss, this team is undisciplined. It feels unprepared. The play calling is boring. It's predictable. It's not taking advantage of the strengths of this football team, and I don't see it changing. And then it changed. All my reasons up until that point for saying what I said, up until that point, were valid. And then things changed and I became wrong because things changed that I did not foresee changing. That's okay. I own when I'm wrong. I apologize when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong about this, I will apologize then too. It doesn't make me wrong about what I'm saying is the reason it won't work.
What is the scenario where you would have to say you were wrong with no caveats? Is there one? Is it you just could say, yes, I was wrong?
The day that I am wrong and I base it on a reason that was also wrong. The day that I go, X is bad because Y. And then it is proven to me down the line that Y is wrong, right? And I go, okay, I based my logical conclusion on a flawed premise, right? If I say X is correct because Y happened, and then it comes out later that Y never happened, then yes, I was wrong, and there is no caveat. I was wrong because my premises was wrong, and therefore it made me wrong. But
it sounds like the Arthur Fonzarelli way of explaining wrongness.
No, it's just that there is a roadmap for utilizing logic to arrive at a conclusion. A conclusion. That's more important than a collusion. There is a roadmap to it. My logic for why.
It sounds like another word.
My logic for why Deion and Prime Jerry and Prime cannot exist in the same world is perfectly solid. Jerry Jones, since he fired Jimmy Johnson and took over the role as general manager, has been the only voice in that organization's leadership hierarchy since then. That is 30 years plus of being the only guy with decision-making power.
What's his son do? I thought his son was,
he's just an enforcer for his old man. He's just the new Jerry in waiting, right? The fact that you don't know what he does is exactly the reason I know what he does.
Stevens.
Yes.
Yeah.
He does nothing. He does whatever daddy tells him to do. And so would I if daddy was like, you do what I do and you inherit the Dallas Cowboys. You got it, daddy. Whatever you need. No problem. All right?
Yeah, I'm glad you said daddy because you can't say Diddy anymore.
No problem, Dad. You tell me jump, I'll ask how high on the way up. If the prize is the Dallas Cowboys, sure. But I got 30 plus years of Jerry Jones being the only guy with any decision-making power in that organization. And I've got Prime's entire coaching career of I'm doing it my way. I'm bringing my baggage in. It's Louis Vuitton, right? So explain to me how.
Aren't there other NFL teams where one person has been in charge for a really long time? And
yes, but we're not talking about them, are we? We're talking about the Dallas Cowboys hiring Prime. You didn't ask me how Prime would fit in with the Arizona Cardinals and the New York Jets. You asked me how they fit in with Dallas.
Which I think he'll fit in fine wherever he goes.
I think he'll fit in.
All he does is win.
I think he'll fit in wherever he goes, provided wherever he goes says, yes, Dion, you do whatever you want, and we'll make sure we have what you need. It's the Tom Brady method. Whatever you think you need to succeed, you let us know and we'll make it happen. Do you trust Jerry Jones to do that? No, which is why I don't think he'll work with the Cowboys. I don't think he'd work with the Saints. I think he'd fit into the culture exceptionally well. But I don't think Gale and Mickey Loomis are going to let him have the rope that he needs to be the man he has been that has allowed him to win at every other school he's coached at, not franchise, because every other school. Colorado ran an entire advertising campaign talking about how they are prime. We have prime we have prime views. We have a prime journalism school. We have a prime athletic department. We have a prime. They made their entire advertising campaign. Dion's here. Yeah, they're giving him everything. You think Jerry Jones is doing that? Not a freaking chance. That's why it will be a disaster.
It wouldn't have to, because Colorado's doing that to make a brand out of where they're at.
Doesn't matter the reason they are doing it.
Dallas is already a brand, right? So they wouldn't have to.
Thank you for helping my argument.
Yeah, your analogy doesn't work.
No. You just made my argument and you don't even see it.
Doesn't work.
You don't even see it.
Doesn't work.
Yes, Colorado did that to pimp themselves on Dion's name. Yes, they did.
Right. Dallas doesn't have to do that. So they're bringing him in purely to be a coach.
And how has he succeeded as a coach? By having everything exactly the way he wanted, with no one pushing back ever at anywhere.
Listen, I'm sorry I didn't go get you juice earlier.
I'm going to go get my juice during this break while Lonzo reads his sports flash. Rashad Beard after this. Stick around.
I'm not really sorry. Get your own juice. Clemson knocked off the Radford Highlanders, because there can be only one, on the hardwood, 79-51. I don't care if you think it's funny. It's my favorite thing to say today. Last night, Chauncey Wiggins scored 16. Ian Shefflin had 14. And Dylan Hunter recorded 15 off the bench for the Tigers, who shot 51% from the floor and 48% from deep in the win. Clemson is 4-1 to start the season. The Gamecock men's basketball team turned away Mercer 84-72. Jamari Thomas had 19 points. Zachary Davis had 18 off the bench. And Colin Murray-Boyles had 16 and 9 rebounds. Tune in tonight at 7 p.m. as the Burns Rebels continue their run in the playoffs against the Spartanburg Vikings. It's Burns versus Spartanburg right here on your home for Burns Rebels football. The Fan, Upstate. Rashad Beard coming up. What you doing? No. None of those are mine. What if you see stuff laying there and you were coming to creep in and take them? No, they're not. If you want to leave your phone. Yeah, sure. I don't care. As long as it's not Rob's. And if it's, you can pick one of those and see if it fits. Wasn't being mean. I don't lend out stuff that's not my own.
No, that's why I was going to leave it in there.
Oh, okay. Bye. Thank you, James. By the way, I just saw that Henry Cavill's Highlander reboot. He's going to be a martial artist who's been training for 500 years. I hope he still uses swords, too, because that would be. Did you send Rashad a thingy?
Yeah, he said he's finishing up his meeting.
All right. Ooh, I should do that.
We're here for your community. Visit Lowe's in store or online to find out about relief efforts in your area or get emergency supplies now.
They keep showing us electronic propelled surfboard. That's just kind of, I mean, you're above the waves. Yeah, but doesn't that defeat the purpose? I mean, I get you're out on the ocean, but isn't part of surfing filling the waves beneath you?
And those you can just ride around like a boat.
Yeah, but you lose the spirit of surfing, bro.
Well, I don't think I would call that surfing. I think
Right.
that's the easiest word to use for it. The Rob Brown Show, final hour of the day, final hour of the week starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Rob the Great One, Lonzo. Programming note, we will be with you next week on Monday, Tuesday. I will be with you next week.
Well, there'll be a we. It's just I won't be part of the we.
The show will be with you Monday, Tuesday next week. Lonzo won't be. He's gonna be on a well-earned vacation. And then we will
I'll be asleep. I'll probably be asleep right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna be.
I won't be. I'll be here. We'll be off on Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. We will return the week after that. We will take you all the way up until Christmas week, which I think there's only there's 2 of those or 3 of those, 3 weeks. And then we will be off we will be on the 23rd and 24th. We'll be off Christmas Day through the weekend. I will be back on Monday the 30th. We will be off New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And that's the schedule for the rest of the year.
Okay, out of all those days you mentioned, I will be working one of them. So I just
must be nice to
Hey, you used all your vacation time for getting married and honeymoon and stuff. I mean,
must be nice to run the joint.
I also
must be nice to be a manager.
I also have been here going on 28 years. I've reached the max level of days, which is not fair. You should get like every decade you should get at least another week.
Every decade.
Right. So when I'm coming up on my 3rd decade, I should receive, 3 extra weeks compared to other people who've only been here 5 years.
Those jerks.
Or 30 days.
Those awful, awful people.
Also known as children. You kids.
Can you tell Lonzo's off next week? Just throwing haymakers on the way out the door. No big deal.
It wasn't directed at you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The things directed at you
happened to be specifically 5 years.
Was it? I didn't even think about that. I did not think about that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Didn't think about that.
I do think you had a complaint just the other day about vacation time.
Rashad Beard will be with us here in just mere moments from now. We'll talk Carolina versus the Chiefs this weekend. It's an interesting matchup, because you do have a Carolina Panther team that is starting to feel itself a little bit. They have strung back-to-back dubs together for the first time since 2002, but then they went on vacation, had the bye week this past weekend.
Who'd they beat?
They beat the New York Football Giants their last time out.
And the team before that
was
it was the Saints.
New Orleans Saints.
Okay, so yeah.
Who are 2-0 since Carolina got Dennis Allen fired. Thank you.
Yeah, that'll do that.
Thank you.
You should thank them.
I do. Not even a joke. I absolutely do. Thank you for.
No, you were so happy after that happened. That's so mean. But you were so a man loses his job and you reach elation over it.
Yeah, when that man causes pain and suffering to others, I do. I wish Dennis Allen the best. I'll tell you right now. I said this when they fired him. If they were willing to just demote him to defensive coordinator, I'm more than happy to let him stay on board. You just got to get out of that office,
I'm
dog.
guessing he left with a lot of money in the bank. And still more to come.
Oh, for
probably.
sure.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons that, if a friend of mine says I lost my job, I'm like, oh, dude, that sucks. If a football coach loses their job, I'm like, that's awesome for you, bro. That's awesome for you. You made a whole bunch of money and don't have to do anything.
To spend time on the beach and golf.
Yeah.
Probably.
When Ed Orgeron got fired from LSU,
show me the door.
He said in a legitimate interview, he was like, yeah, they owed me like $27 million when I left. So when they said you're fired, I was like, which door do you want me to leave? Which door you want me to walk out of? I get it.
Wonder what beach he's stalking these days.
I'll tell you exactly where it is. Princess Beach in Destin, Florida.
He's still there?
I have no doubt. He's got a place out there.
Hey, ladies, you know who I am.
I'll tell you right now, I watched at AJ's Seafood and Oyster Bar. I watched Ed walk in, pick up I'll use young lady conservatively here, a young lady, and take her home for what I assume was to do the Shefty.
You mean of age, of course.
Yeah, when I say young, I mean not young.
Well,
I mean MILF. I mean cougar.
Which to him would be a younger lady. So because he's an older guy, right?
Yes.
So they were probably in their 30s and he's in his 50s. I don't know who you're mumbling about there.
Maybe.
Maybe you're thinking of yourself. Okay, because where you're 40, you're like right in between there.
Why do you feel the need to keep bringing it up?
Because
are you having a good time? Are you having fun?
I'm not going to get a chance to do this next week because you won't answer my text. So I'm not
anymore. I won't.
I'm doing it right now.
Now I won't. All right, waiting on Rashad Beard. Hopefully we'll get him in here in just a minute. We do have the Movin the Chains fellas coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll get them in the next segment. May have to bump Rashad to the last segment. We'll see how it goes. But Chiefs taking on the Panthers. This one at BOA. Look, the Chiefs play an interesting game of football. They play an interesting game of football because they let everybody hang around. They just let you hang around. And the teams that are going to beat the Chiefs are the teams that the Chiefs allow to hang around and then do something spectacular at the end of the game.
Well, one thing about this, more than likely, it's probably going to be basically a Chiefs home game. So, I mean, because it has been in the past, unless the Panthers fans show up just to watch the Chiefs play. Because I know the Panthers have won 2 in a row, but still, the excitement not quite there yet because of the overall record.
I don't know. I mean, there is definitely in the sports message boards, which I frequent.
And yes, I would love to go, but that would mean no Christmas for anyone.
Sorry, granddaughter.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Go outside and pick the finest stick from the front yard as your Christmas gift.
And whittle it.
Finest stick.
I'll whittle it into and say that's a magic wand.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Make it whatever you need to. There he is. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show. And the fan upset, bro, you didn't send the boss a text, be like, yo, I got somewhere to be. I gotta bounce.
Listen, man, I gotta pay the bills. Unfortunately, the meeting went over a little bit, but we're here, man. We're here.
I appreciate it. Listen, Lonzo gave me hell 2.5, 3 weeks ago because I didn't run a bunch of smack at you for Saints Panthers because I knew what happened could happen
and didn't wear any gear at all.
Lonzo,
that ain't happening for me.
Just broke out what I assume are his other construction job safety glasses with the Chiefs red across them. Shad,
it's necessary in this room, especially with the way this day is going. There's shrapnel flying everywhere.
You got any hope for a disappointed Lonzo Sunday night?
Hey, listen, all the pressure's on the Chiefs, man. We just playing football. You better hope. You better hope they come with their A game because they've been squeaking it out all year. You've been squeaking out these W's. You're playing down, and you got caught last week. You might get caught again. You never know.
You're right. Last week was playing down, and got caught by a lesser team last week, for sure. Because Buffalo, I mean, all they have is snow up there. Looking forward to this game. Looking forward to getting back into the win column. And about time for there to be a blowout because we haven't had one. We had one a little bit earlier this year. Going to happen again. To win streak for the Panthers. Good though. That's a good thing. It really is. It's a confidence builder. That's what it is. I do love that jersey. By the way, is sweet. I just want to point that out.
A blowout is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. The way the Panthers are putting it together and getting healthier. We're not getting blown out. You may get the W, but we're not going to get blown out.
So, all right, real quick. All right, if the Chiefs do not blow out the Panthers, I'm just not working next week.
You're on vacation anyway.
Hey.
Stop.
Nice one. I like that.
Shad, here's what I said about this game. The Chiefs are interesting because they let people hang around. And whether it's Josh Allen, the Bills, Lamar, and the Ravens, doesn't matter. They have let just about every team hang around with one or two exceptions this year. And basically they play a game where it's like, you got a chance to win if you can do something special late. Josh Allen did something special. He becomes the first player, the first quarterback to be able to take down Mahomes this year. Is there that in Carolina? If this is a 3-point, 4-point, 5-point game going into the fourth quarter, is there do something special in the Panthers with Adam Thielen coming back? Looks like I'm assuming John Brooks is going to get his first nod this weekend. With these cats being added, is there that something special?
You want me to be honest, or you want me to like put my fan hat on? How you want me to answer this question?
Dog, I don't have you up in here to be sunshine and rainbows, Rashad. Keep it a buck.
All right, fair enough. So, do I think we have a game-winning drive against the Chiefs? Probably not. Listen, again, our two W's, like Zoe said, it's a nice little confidence builder. Do we have it all figured out? Probably not. Do we have enough to get a couple more wins in the season? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen this week? With the Chiefs coming off a loss, I doubt it. But I expect this team to be competitive. I expect us. And again, there's going to be a little wiggle. Like you said, Jonathan Brooks coming in. There's no film on that. They don't know what's going to be hitting them in the mouth when Jonathan Brooks comes out there. So there's a couple of things that, we could catch him with. But is it enough to pull out a dub against the Chiefs? I don't know. I got to see it. I got to see it to believe it. Bryce Young needs this is the type of game where Bryce Young plants his flag and says, all right, I'm the guy. Will we see it? I need to see it. I hope we do see it.
Quick. I mean, as far as the defense goes for the Panthers, are they ready if Pacheco comes back this week?
That's a
so
tough
you got
one.
Pacheco and Hunt.
It's a tough one. I'm going
is.
to be honest. That's concerning. Pacheco coming back is tough. That just like we have Jonathan Brooks, you all have Pacheco coming back. So that's a little bit of a chess match. Typically, we aren't good against the run. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But again, we got DJ Wanham back. You got Amari Barno potentially coming back. This defense is getting healthier and getting better. Trevin Watts is playing what Josie Jewell had a couple of really good plays last week. So we're getting better. We're getting closer and things are starting to mesh. So is it enough? We'll see.
What does Adam Thielen add back? I mean, you saw what he was last year, obviously, when he was the X. He's a Z receiver. He was playing the X. He comes back now. We have seen Xavier Legette start to open it up a little bit. We've seen the guy that you and I both fell in love with this offseason, Jalen Coker, starting to come up with some big catches here and there. Is Adam Thielen going to roll out to the X, or do we see maybe some fluidity between the different guys playing different spots and different formations?
So you want me to be honest again, or do you want me to how do you want me to answer this question?
Rashad, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I don't bring you in here to just pump silver and blue up my skirt, all right?
Listen, I love Adam Thielen. I think he's a great talent, a great mentor to these guys, but I want to see my young guys cook. I want to see Jalen Coker out there. I want to see him getting developed. I want to see Xavier Legette get a bunch of targets. I don't want Bryce Young leaning on Adam Thielen in his infinite wisdom. Like, I want to see our guys getting developed. So again, do I think he brings a different layer? Yes, he's clutch. He's Mr. Third Down. You put him in the slot, he's going to make some plays. But I don't want that to impact the development of our young guys. And will he probably take snaps from guys like David Moore? Probably so. I have a bigger concern with the target share that my younger guys are going to get with Adam Thielen inserted. Is he going to dominate target share? It's not more so about the snaps. It's about target share. And so I want to see my guys like Coker and Legette get the targets.
Tell you my big concern. 2-game win streak, got to feel nice. Knock off a divisional rival, got to feel nice. Get one over in Germany in front of the away fans, got to feel nice. All that's well and good. My concern, Rashad, is in this division, which, let's be real, you guys are technically still in the mix for the division right now. All right, it's a long shot, it's a Powerball shot, but you're still in it.
Don't do that, Rashad. It's the South, man. You got plenty.
It's there. Yeah. I'd hate to jinx it, man. I
agree. You're going to have to be, you have to be damn near perfect to get there, but you're not mathematically eliminated. Here's my big concern after a 2-game win streak, that the mentality shifts away from development, shifts away from learning, shifts away from patience, shifts away from understanding that this year is a year to learn and grow, not a year to go compete, as I thought it was from the beginning. And this team goes, oh, we got to go out there and snag a bunch of dubs right now. And now you get, and I think this kind of harkens back to what you were just talking about. Now it's less about getting Leggett and Coker ready to be the X and the Y, and more about let's go win this game. And it shifts everything around, and it sets you further back than you think it does. That was my concern after finishing off the Giants.
Yeah, that is valid. But at the same time, boy, do we need it. We need the W's. And so if you go out there and get a W, and it's at the behest of targets to Coker and targets to Leggett and those guys' development, I got to be honest, I have no choice but to be okay with that, because the team is winning, right? So whatever it takes to win, and I know I'm kind of talking in circles. I kind of contradicted myself a little bit, but
well, you've been in a corporate meeting all morning.
It's just reality, right? I want to see W's. I want to see. It's been a long time coming for the Panthers, and we're getting close. There's a little bit of confidence brewing. And so if it comes at the sake of, development, it kind of is what it is. But I'm excited, man. The guys are starting to turn the corner. You're starting to see a little bit of swagger in the locker room, and it is what it is, man. It comes with the territory.
Yeah, listen, I think a win, if nothing else. Like, one of the things you guys need to be working on doing right now, Rashad, is changing the perception of the franchise, right? Like, and doing something like beating the Chiefs would go a long way. Oh, maybe this team's not a joke, because even with back-to-back wins, even with the divisional dub, even with the last 3 weeks, really, Bryce Young's starting to look like he is elevating, progressing, growing, developing, whatever. I've still, every time I've gotten on, Reddit or whatever, it's always you guys that are the butt of every NFL jokes. You've got to shake that, if for no other reason than to make yourself appealing this offseason for free agents. You've got to say, hey, the past is the past. We've moved on. This is the new Carolina Panthers. Like, a win over the Chiefs goes a damn long way in that direction, my man.
Yeah, it certainly does. And listen, we got to look at this in totality, right? We aren't the laughing stock of the league anymore. It's not us, right? There are worse situations, and we haven't been able to say this for a long time. There are far worse situations than the Carolina Panthers right now. When you look what's going on up in New York, both teams, right? That's terrible, right? And we're heading in the opposite direction, which is a good look. You have to look at the league in totality and understand that this is not the Panthers from 2 or 3 years ago. Like, we're getting better. We're heading in the right direction. We have decent leadership with Canales and the coaching staff there. And what we've been asking for with David Tepper, he's kind of stepped back. And these are the things, it's happening, right? These things are happening. We have to let it play out and exercise a little bit of patience. And we may not beat the Chiefs. We got to be okay with that. But as long as we're competitive and things are heading in the right direction, we've got to be okay with that. And I'm certainly okay with that. And I just want to see a competitive game. And I'm calling no blowout against my Carolina Panthers. Salute to the Chiefs, but you're not blowing our guys out. We're going to hang in there.
I like it. No, listen, I think that this is going to be one of a handful of games through the end of the year that I look at and I go, you can't worry about the result in terms of a dub or an L. I just want to see a team that doesn't roll over. If Mahomes comes out and puts one up on you in the opening drive for Kansas City, you guys don't start suddenly playing either panicked A or sluggish B. Like, come out there and still fight like a damn NFL team. This is an attitude game for me. I want to see what the sideline attitude is, what the body language is, what the behavior is, because we've heard JC in the locker room talking about how they ain't good with what it's been. We need to get to where we need to be, and I respect and appreciate all that. But all that locker room talk's irrelevant if you get slapped in the mouth by Kansas City and then you roll over because you go, oh, here come the Chiefs, right? Like, go out there and fight like an NFL team, and if you lose, I don't care. I need to see that Your mentality and your game plan are developing because you've got one of those in the bag so far, but it was against the Saints and the Giants. Show me that you can do it against the big dogs, and now you got me even more on board than I already am.
Yeah, exactly right, man. You took the words right out of my mouth. Winning against the Giants and the Saints, that's great. And we needed it. Trust me. All wins are good wins. But when you measure up yourself against a team like the Chiefs, perennial Super Bowl champs, like these guys, man, this is where you measure yourself. And if we can go out there and be extremely competitive and show that we're competent, and show that, hey, like I can coach. Like this is a Canales statement game. This is a Bryce Young statement game. Like these are where you plant your flag, and you're like, all right, we can do this. We can do this. And so I'm excited to see it. Again, not expecting a W. It'd be great, and I will certainly victory lap. I will come up here and take the biggest victory lap in the world if we beat the Chiefs. So,
all right, I'm not making a promise. If you are on next week and the Chiefs lose, even though I'm on vacation, I will pop into the feed just to take it. I will do that.
Yes.
In the meantime, all right. In the meantime, I hope Bryce has got his cardio up because Chris Jones and George Kalafdis are coming.
Yeah. So was Dexter Lawrence last week, and so was Brian Burns, and they didn't do too much. You know what I mean? So listen, I think we're gonna be okay. And I think Bryce is gonna. This is a game he needs. He needs this game. We're gonna be fine.
He ain't wrong. Stop Cam Jordan the other week too. I mean, it's strung together. That's what I'm saying. It's strung together. All right, we got to run. We got the Movin the Chains pod coming up. My man Rashad, appreciate you as always, big dog. I will shoot you a DM. We're off Thursday, Friday next week, so we'll see if we can figure something out. If not, we'll get back to it.
Absolutely, man. Sounds good. Anytime you need me, I'm here.
Done and done. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Find them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, get hooked up on that YouTube channel. Rashad Beard joins us on Thursdays, normally at 8:40. He had to go meet M, pick up some new gadgets and whatnot. Kevin Thomas, John Epps, Moving the Chains, set you up for the high school football playoff round number 2 when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
That was respectful smack talk. I wasn't going to,
Oh, respectful smack talk.
It's possible. See, same one every day.
Oh, yeah. KT, what up, fella? Hang on, your mic's muted.
Let's
try that again. There he is. What's up, big dog?
Doing all right, man. How about you guys?
I'm here. Wait a minute. Look at the branding. Look at the branding.
I don't know. You may want to put that off a little. It's sweet.
Elite.
You should put it up enough to where it's like right around your head. I don't know. But Rob blocks his logo every day. So, I mean, it's back there, but,
It's tough. It's tough to get it right.
It's just never good enough for Lonzo, John. Welcome to my world.
Well, you also have to work it in when there's like 4 screens as opposed to 2 screens, which makes it wider. There's just a lot of factors. I don't blame John on this. I was just trying to help. Actually, I think it was your fault.
Yes, usually is.
You should help. You have more experience. You should be a better friend.
Hey, Kev, have I ever helped out the Movin the Chains pod before? I don't think I have I?
Maybe a time or two.
Yeah, okay. Just checking.
Just, coming on the show is not the same as helping with the what you're an expert at.
Kev, how's all that audio equipment working for you?
It's good. It's good. Rob did get our levels correct on our mics, which I'm not using right now. I'm on my laptop, but at other times it works well.
You're right. I should help, though. I should probably help at some point.
I'm so glad I'm on vacation next week. The cockiness. Then he put his feet up as a point of emphasis.
I mean, I'm just saying, I'm always down to help the boys.
Do you know who I am? I help those less fortunate than me. My name is Rob Brown.
Kind of a big deal.
Thank you.
All right, there's the notes. Beautiful. If would Spartanburg be hosting this even if Burns was playing at Nixon this year?
Yes.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Rob, you excited for your boy Jameis with the big win last night?
Big win for Jabu.
Only because it was snowing in the rest, though, you know.
Fellas.
Why? Why'd you do that?
Fellas, I stand forever that the NFL should dome over every stadium. We should never play snow games. They make football worse.
I want more of it.
Why?
Because these are supposed to be real men that can overcome sunlight in my eyes or snow. It's a game played in the elements.
John, if I came to your house and started hitting you with a fire hose while you were trying to do your job and then said, be a real man and handle it, how'd you feel about that, buddy?
Well, I wouldn't like it, but if I got to hit you with a fire hose when you turn around and did your job, then it'd be fair.
First off, I'd still be good. Second off.
See, that defeats your whole argument. That defeats your entire argument right there.
Do you think that my show would be as good as it is if I was getting hit by snow and cold trying to do it?
I don't know. I've never heard your show.
Do you think that if we were doing this show outside in the cold, in the snow, that the show would be as good as it usually is?
I think you probably would complain less than Mark Ryan, but you still would complain.
It would be interesting.
Because he and I were outside at some old folks' place doing a live remote. He's like, God, Lonzo, I'm going to die. I've never been this cold before. Can we please, could you do something? I mean, did they really expect us to do the entire show outside? It's like, yeah, let me see what we can do. Then we went inside and there was an Elvis impersonator and he just was singing and he walked up right next to Mark while we were live on the air singing Elvis songs. And his wig was like just off a little bit. And his name was Alonzo. It was perfect.
Okay. So here's the thing, fellas. I don't care what you are doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Driving a truck, picking up the trash, writing down loan portfolios. If you're doing it in 25 degrees and snow, you cannot do it as good as you can do it when the weather is perfect. And when I tune in to watch NFL football, I want to see the best football players in the world playing the best football in the world. And you can't play the best football when you can't feel your freaking toes. It just can't be done.
He doesn't know. He's never done that.
I don't need to know. I've had cold feet and no. I'm done. I'm over it.
No, we got Movin the Chains on. You got to talk to those guys.
I'm going to.
Okay, all right.
I'm going to right now. As a matter
high
of
school
fact.
football playoffs. Let's get to it.
Y'all, Lonzo's doing his best to get up under my skin today, and it's working successfully.
Oh, I found a button earlier. I'm not using it again though.
Mm-hmm.
But it does pertain to this. I'm good.
Joining us now on the radio broadcast, the host of the Movin the Chains podcast, which you can find at movinchains.com, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Movin Chains, and their podcast available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts at the Movin the Chains pod. No G in Movin Chains. We got John Epps. We got Kevin Thomas as we get set for round number 2 of the high school football playoffs around the lovely Palmetto State. Fellas, what's happening, boys?
Doing well.
Yeah, excited for a big night, man. Lots of big-time games all across the state tonight.
Real big night. Let's jump right in, boys, because it's Friday. We just got a handful of minutes until we're up out of here. Let's give the people what they want, and let's start with a game that is happening right here on the Fan Upstate. Our own Cole Bryson will be on the call as the Burns Rebels are on the road at Spartanburg tonight. Nothing better. We talked about this last week. Than high school playoff football, nothing better than that. Than when it's a little bit of a regional rivalry that's more than just two teams getting together. John, walk me through the Rebels at the Vikings.
Yeah, it's a Burns team that has really kind of been behind the 8 ball all year, right? They haven't gotten to play a true home game all year, but they have played really gritty all season. They've had played some good defense, and last week they beat up on a pretty good Lexington squad, 32-11. This is a good football team, but on the other side, the Vikings really playing some good football as well. They have been playing good defense all year under Coach Hodge, But a couple weeks ago, they found the offense. They only have 2 losses on the year to Dutch Fork and then a 3-game tilt in the season finale against Gaffney, where Gaffney found themselves again, came back from behind to win that game. This will be a fun game. I think Spartanburg is the better team here. They're led by Trenton Lynch on offense. Big key though for Burns, Tracy Gurr comes back for the Rebels. That'll be a big piece for Burns to get back. I think they'll see a pretty competitive game over at Spartanburg tonight, but I think the Vikings are a little bit better. However, hats off to Burns, what they've accomplished this year, even if they lose tonight. Playing on the road every single game. They got to play at PC last week for the playoff game. They've done an incredible job battling everything this year. They've had a good season, but I think it ends tonight at Spartanburg.
We just got a tweet a minute ago from @BrokePancreas. What a handle. That said, Trey Segura is going to be a difference maker against Spartanburg. You should come see him play soccer sometime. I heard he's a hell of a soccer player, and I absolutely will. I'm just saying the Greenville Triumph could be in play at some point here. But, boys, pardon me, is that what it takes for the Rebels to win tonight? Does it need to be a game like we saw Segura have a couple of times last year, like 120 yards, 3 touchdowns? Would that be enough to make up the difference?
I don't even know if 3 touchdowns is the requirement. I think this would be a pretty low-scoring game. I think if either team scores 30, they probably win. I think if you can bust 1 or 2 big plays, that might be enough. What I expect would be a low-scoring ball game.
All right, let's take a look at another one. Woodruff, Kevin, is out at Powdersville. Walk me through that one.
One of my favorite games of this week's slate, man. A heavy hitting 3A matchup. Woodruff played good football all year long. Their one loss is a close one to MVP, who is still undefeated. They've beaten some good squads like Clinton early on in the year and Fountain Inn and whatnot.
Like what? Like who?
Clinton.
Who? Oh, you mean Clinton. Got it. All right, keep going.
Beat them early on in the year. They've got a stud sophomore running back, Aiden Gibson. The guy is massive. He's a great football player, a gamer at quarterback with TJ Morris. But Powdersville, Rob, they started off 0-3, have now rolled off 8 wins in a row. They won their region. They beat Broome in the playoffs last week. They were playing great football for Coach Muster. This is a game where I feel like if Woodruff, if they play their best, that is good enough to beat probably anybody in 3A. But if they don't play their best, they can certainly be beat. I think Powdersville at home tonight has a real shot with that run game. Elijah Huggins, the quarterback, Kagan Reed there. I think the Patriots have a real shot to pull off I guess you could call it an upset, even though they're playing at home. I think Powdersville could be a sneaky team this week.
By the way, I want you to know that our boy Zach pops in here and just appreciates your defending them saying a word wrong. All right,
I got you, Zach. I got you, my man.
Some tenacity. Tenacity, because we don't.
No.
Anasi.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know.
John Riverside's at Gaffney tonight. The Gaffney Indian fans have been allowed through the back half of this season.
Yeah, they should be. They knocked off a red-hot Spartanburg team in their last game. And, Riverside, hey, here's a team that's had a good season. Jaden Taylor's been awesome for the Warriors. But Gaffney, a little different kind of animal. They got Javon Gilmore at quarterback. Jay McDowell, think he's finally 100% back healthy. This is a good Indians team. They they actually had a close game against Riverside, 28-21 back in October. I think that's a good thing for Gaffney. I think this game will have their full attention, have their focus, and they'll need it. But if Gaffney comes out focused, ready to play, they should win this pretty handedly. Now, of course, you got to do that. They had about a 4-week run where they did not play their best football. It seems like that is behind them now. They're healthy. The offense looks better. They put up 27 against that good Spartanburg defense 2 weeks ago. I think Gaffney's in a good spot at a good time, and I think we're going to see typical Gaffney fashion playoff effort here from the Indians tonight.
Kevin, Hillcrest at Greenwood.
Greenwood won this game 38-16 a couple weeks ago against Hillcrest, but since then the Rams have actually changed a lot. They've, for one, gotten a little bit healthier. Secondly, they moved their starting quarterback, Caleb Sutton, a heck of an athlete, out to receiver. He's now catching touchdown passes for them. They're filling in Jackson Free at the quarterback spot. I don't know if the Rams will be able to win this game. I think it's going to be a whole lot closer. And if you're Greenwood, I know you're playing at home, but this is a game you cannot look past, man. This is certainly an upset alert game here. I think the Rams have a real chance to keep it close. Can they win? We'll see. It should be a great ball game between two more, region foes there.
All right, let's speed run a couple of the ones that we've got left to talk about. Boiling Springs at Dutch Fork.
Yeah, Dutch Fork, the machine continues to roll. Kevin and I saw them play Irmo a couple weeks ago. That defense is elite. It's elite at the linebacker level, and it's elite in the secondary. Boiling Springs, very good team, led by Lincoln Husky. They've had a very good season. I don't see David beating Goliath, though, tonight in Irmo. I think Dutch Fork wins this one by a couple scores.
Let's take a look. Clover, KT, is at JL Man.
JL Man, if they can stop the run, they'll be fine in this one. Had the bye last week, so they've got a little bit of a break here. I think the offense needs to get figured out a little bit. If they can get the run game going as well, it'll be huge. But I think as long as they stop the run, they'll be fine. I think the Patriots move on.
Catawba Ridge at TL Hanna.
Yeah, TL Hanna playing some good football. They've been under the radar this year, I feel like, a little bit. They got the first round bye. Catawba Ridge knocked off Woodmont last week, 38-35. Catawba Ridge turned their season around a little bit. But TL Hanna, that offense is driven by good quarterback play, and they have got it this year. I think the Yellow Jackets win this one at home in Anderson.
How about Camden at Wren, the Golden Hurricanes still alive?
I like this Wren team a lot, and they are getting healthy at the right time. They gave Westside a heck of a run a couple weeks back, and that was missing a few key defensive players. That offense with Bagwell and Price can get it done on the ground. And then Camden's always tough in playoff time, Robbie. They've got some pieces, too, that have come back from injury. Wyatt Thompson on offense, Boykin and Drakeford as well. I still think Wren at home has too much firepower, but that's a really heavy-hitting 4A matchup.
All right. Any of the ones remaining we did not get to, fellas, that you think the people need to know about?
Honestly, I think the rest of them are not going to be close. I did see Zach in the chat mention Clinton and Chester. That's a big-time 2A matchup. I think Clinton a little bit better up front wins this football game, but that'll be a hard-hitting game down to the 2A ranks for sure.
Good old Clinton.
Daniel Richland Northeast has potential. And I know we talked about R&E last week with Will Wilson at quarterback. Could be the toughest, maybe the second toughest matchup that Daniel's had all year behind the JL Man game. Just got potential. Daniel probably wins this one by a couple scores, though.
All right, last one I got to ask about because the Yellow Jacket fans are always up here listening when the boys come to talk high school football. Greer at South Point.
Man, Greer, very lucky to survive last week. Fountain Inn had him on the ropes. A couple, questionable calls on both sides here late in that ball game leads to a one-score win for the Yellow Jackets. South Point, Rob, they put up 77 points last week and shut out their opponent. They're playing good football, to say the least there. The Stallions are. I think they are too much for Greer. That offensive firepower with McMillan and Pickett Hicks and those guys, and defensively with Jazavian Currents and all that crew they've got, I think South Point rolls, man. They are a really, really good football team.
Kevin Thomas, John Epps, the fellas from the Movin the Chains podcast. You can find them on their website, movinchains.com. No G in that. Same with the handle on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Movin Chains. And the podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcasts. I know it's playoff week, too. The boys going live on X tonight after the scores wrap up.
We'll have it, man. Lots of big ones across the state for sure.
Hell yeah, I love it. John and Kev, join us on Fridays. We'll get you guys to figure out next week because I won't be here Friday. I will be down on the beach in Florida, probably with a margarita in hand. My life's not bad.
That's awesome. Thanks for the invite.
You do that. We'll be at some games tonight. I kind of hope it snows. Maybe be great for the football. See how that goes.
Yeah, no, sure. Enjoy the games that you want to watch be worse. Have a great time watching great high school players be prevented from being the best players they can be because they're slipping and sliding and unable to feel their extremities. I hope you enjoy worse football.
You poor, gentle Florida boy.
It's got nothing to do with Florida. If you can't feel your fingers, it's harder to catch and throw a football. What do you want? That's just facts.
How do you know?
Because I've been... Boys, thank y'all for coming. You're the best.
See you, Lonzo.
Love you guys.
Appreciate you guys.
Kevin
Have a good
Thomas,
one.
Sean F's moving the chains. We got to move it to a break. We'll come back. We'll take a look up and down some of the biggest games of the weekend, give you our prognostications, and then we're out for the week. Lonzo and I might not talk for a week. We'll see. Y'all have a great one. Back after this, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
You're right, though. We probably won't talk for a while, especially if you're going to be on the beach. You definitely ain't answering my text there.
I'm on the beach.
You take your phone when you go on the beach? Yeah, okay. Lose. I would have been completely caught up, but Mark changed my numbering system on something, and he didn't elaborate. He gave me 4 numbers for 1 hour, but not, I need 16 numbers because there are 3 hours of a program that I'm trying to put in, and he's not here. Well, I will when the show's over. I mean, if he would just read and answer my email, that's all I'm saying.
You should tell him.
Yeah, I'd
just text him. Do you ever check your emails?
don't
Start
think.
responding to emails, please.
No, I'm not doing that today because it's who's doing this while you're off, who's doing this while you're off, who's doing this while you're off, and it's just a constant barrage of who's doing all this stuff. Which I will send out an email before I leave, telling all the people to do what they need to do while I'm gone. And it's usually, well, just stick around a little bit. I got a few more questions to ask you, and then he's trying to remember what he wants to ask me. It's like, no, I didn't want to. Called them the Illini. It's Indiana.
Sorry. For the IND. That's what I said.
I didn't want you to disrespect the.
Yeah. No, that's on me. You guys know. Again, big Kurt Signetti guy.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I win. Google me.
So I think that you guys blow the doors off. Now that Will Howard, and again, it is a game, but it is a game last week that Will Howard looked consistently good start to finish. He had 1 or 2 touchdown passes taken off the board in that game. If Will Howard can throw the football, Ohio State's winning this game by a lot. Now, if Will Howard comes out there and puts a pick up on the board in quarter 1, now we got a different game. Now I think Indiana looks and goes, okay, we're a little confident. We can send some extra guys. We can pressure Will Howard. We can make him make some mistakes. But
how good? I got to admit, I haven't watched an Indiana game all year. You know what? Next year, won't watch an Indiana game because they're Indiana. I don't know how good their offense is. I don't know how good their offensive line is. So I'm curious how they're going to hold up against the Ohio State defense.
It ain't bad, but this is one of those times where even I have to say, and I hate to say it, it sounds kind of boring to be honest with you, but this is one of those games where to say they ain't played nobody, Paul, is a legitimate concern.
This can't be a trap game, can it?
It absolutely can be if you guys fall asleep. But the problem is there's no world in which the Buckeyes look at Indiana and are over. I might feel differently, Zoe. I might feel differently if Michigan was 10-0 at this spot, right? If it looked like Michigan, Ohio State was going to be for a ticket to the Big Ten championship, I might feel differently. I might go, hey, maybe even though they are undefeated, 10-0, they've played one of the easiest schedules of any team inside the top 25, maybe the easiest schedule of any team in the top 25. And because of that, maybe perhaps you guys get caught looking ahead to Michigan, but you're not afraid of Michigan right now. At least you shouldn't be. You should be dialed in on Indiana. So because of that, I don't think you get trapped. If you lose this game, it's because they remove the run game from you, and they can, and Will Howard makes a couple of mistakes that give them extra footballs. That's it.
I just hope that Ohio State isn't looking ahead to the Big Ten championship and getting a rematch with Oregon and getting revenge. Because you still got to take care of business the next 2 weeks.
That's why I don't think it's a trap game. Because I absolutely – what in the –
It's –
the hell is that? Are we getting attacked? I do think it is.
Tim brought his phone in to charge it. Yeah, and I turned it off, but I didn't know he had an alarm on.
Hey, you guys want to hear Peyton Manning sing karaoke real bad?
Yeah.
I felt obliged to include on this album. Last verse goes like this here. I was drunk the day my mama got out of prison. And I went to pick her up in the rain. Before I could get to the station in my pickup truck, what up?
She got run over by a damned old train. Let me. You don't have to call me darling. You never even called me.
Well, I wonder why you don't call me. Why don't you ever call me by my name?
Ba-da-bow.
All right, you got vengeance on me for the entire day just by playing that.
I almost played it again.
Are we doing the thing or not doing the thing? We can skip the thing or we can do the thing. I got some stuff for the thing if you want to do the thing. The more we ask if we're going to do the thing, we're running out of time to do the thing.
Adam Schefter.
Guy with the stories. That was, as you know, obviously, we saw you correcting the record on Twitter. A viral piece of content with you on a podcast has been going around about the strangest place that you've ever broken a story. We found out it was post-coitus. Now, the big question that I have about this, Schefter, and we will get to NFL questions maybe if we have time at the end of all of this once I'm done with my line of questioning, is did you get the scoop in the middle of the act and then tweeted it afterwards, or was it all after the fact?
Well, first of all, I am completely shocked that this has taken on the life that
Why?
it has. Like,
Why?
Believe all day
Why would you
long
be
I've been
shocked?
responding to
It's
texts
sophisticated
about this,
society,
including
you
one
know.
wife this afternoon. My wife didn't appreciate the story as much as other people, I will say. I should point that out.
Strangest thing.
Some people enjoyed it. Some people enjoyed it. My wife, not as much. Not as much. Yeah. You know, again, I don't know what to say about it, man. What do you want me to say?
Well, I was just interested in the timeline because it seemed like that's obviously a great story.
I said what I said, right?
Yes. Yep.
So there you have it. We projected that if there was one person who didn't enjoy that story, it was Shefty's wife, and Shefty has now confirmed that Shefty's wife was not happy about Shefty's story about Sheftying through a news story. That's it. That's
Well, he never answered.
spectacular.
He never answered the question either.
He also did not answer the question. You are correct. For the record, if he told this story with the vagueness with which he told the story, and then he goes home and the wife's like, "Hey, maybe don't do that," and then the next day he goes on WEEI and they go, "Hey, was it during the boom boom or post the boom boom? Like were you like, hang on, quick timeout here, 30-second coach timeout, or was it like in the blissful afterglow?" He can't elaborate now. He can't elaborate now that the wife is involved.
I hope his marriage survives. I hope he didn't do something that causes because it's being talked about nationally. Does this really hurt his relationship?
Nah.
And if so, was it worth answering the question?
For the record, you have to, as an adult, recognize if you get married later
You
on
don't
in life,
have to do
the
anything.
other person has participated in the boom boom with other people, and that's okay.
Not necessarily true.
That's okay.
There are people who wait.
Like, sure, but not many when you're getting married in your 40s, all right? So Shefty was already 33 years old. Yeah, he had boom boomed. And the wife knows he boom boomed. Now she knows that he was working through the boom boom. Respect. Hey, y'all have a great weekend. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. See you back here next Monday for the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
Oh, how I hate that.
I did have one more clip. Throw me in queue real quick. This one I grabbed just for you. Here's Gronk.
You get lost in video games. It's actually like one of the best feelings in the world. Like when I was playing zombies, I'm telling you, like, nothing else mattered in my life. Like if I had a bad game that week, it didn't matter. I had like 400 kills. I killed 400 zombies. I'm saving the world. Didn't matter what football was going.
It's an outlet for you to hang with the boys, talk with your friends, like not have to think about stuff. It's a way for you to get lost. I understand it.
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty.
I mean, I was a Call of Duty guy back in the day. I'm actually the guy that loves to play Del Reese. Zombies,
yeah.
On Call of Duty, you ever play it?
I mean, I played little zombies.
Del Reese, zombies.
That was a while back.
I used to run home my 4th year in the NFL, and I used to run home right at 3:30, right when we got out of the meetings. I would run home, and I would start playing zombies, and we would start at 3:45, and we would probably play until about 9:30 at night.
I was like that with like when Fortnite first came out. I mean, we all like the game, and it's a good outlet for an athlete because it keeps you out of trouble.
Does that make you more Gronk? Or pro Gronk? That makes me more pro Gronk. Not that I wasn't already pro Gronk.
Yeah, I mean, it does help me. Was that Edelman playing Fortnite? Come on, dude.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I respect Gronk more for that.
Yeah, me too. Because he's killing zombies. I mean, and saving the world. Right. I mean, he was saving the world. And Gronk Saves the World sounds like a B movie that I might watch, maybe, if he's killing zombies in a movie.
Let's keep it a buck. Gronk goes action movie star. I'm watching every one of them. Every one of them. The world's
dumbest superhero, I'm all in.
How? Mark. Dude.
All right, that's it for us, kids. I got to go do stuff. Yeah. Y'all have a great day. Thanks for being here. You're all spectacular. See you. I'll see you Monday.